Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Great Voyage. Lord Madara crushed celestial dragons to death with one hand. Chapter 61. At this moment, by Han, just the panel properties, is already considered luxurious. Chakra, which is comparable to the inferior cage level, is not inferior to the Mangekyo Sharingan who lost Obito, and thus successfully took that step to achieve Kakashi at cage level. This is already the peak amount of chakra in one card. Even if he releases those expensive S-level ninjutsu, Bai Han can release 10 or 8 of them. In addition, he has already mastered the way of using Mangekyo Sharingan during this period of time. Compared with 3 Tomo Sharingan, Mangekyo Sharingan has a huge improvement in vision, allowing Bai Han to easily see scenes thousands of meters away. And the dynamic vision is dozens of times larger than that of 3 Tomo Sharingan. At the same time, compared with the 3 Tomo Sharingan, this pair of Mangekyo Sharingan has also greatly improved the pupil power. At least, the current Bai Han can be sure that he can even influence the adjutant Bogard next to Garp. You know, although the other party is only Garp's adjutant. However, his strength is definitely not inferior to the elite Vice Admiral in Naval Headquarters. Even among the elite Vice Admiral of Naval Headquarters, the strength is also among the top existences. When facing the Blackbeard pirates with Garp in the later stage, he even faced Shiryu, the deputy captain of the Blackbeard pirates, and was not defeated. Of course, Bai Han didn't dare to use Mangekyo Sharingan's ability too much. There is a price to pay for Mangekyo Sharingan usage. And the price is blindness. He didn't want to be like Sasuke, who just got Mangekyo Sharingan, only to lose his sight in 15 days. However, this problem disappears once the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan is activated. Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, which is used for pupil power dozens of times stronger than Mangekyo Sharingan, and there is no need to worry about depletion at all. At the same time, the full-body Susanoo opened by Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. That is also known as the power that can only be possessed by gods in the world of Hokage. It can cut mountains and break seas with a single blow, and its power is terrifying. In addition, Bai Han also figured out how to use Susanoo during this period of time. The power is indeed very huge, which can greatly improve his combat effectiveness. The only disadvantage is that the pupil power of Mangekyo Sharingan is consumed too quickly. As for the improvement in the types of ninjutsu, it can only be said that Bai Han has more coping methods. As far as Bai Han's actual combat power improvement is concerned, it is not particularly huge. Of course, these are just the strengths of the panel data. In addition to the panel data, Bai Han has also mastered special abilities belonging to One Piece world. The first is the level of swordsmanship. At this moment, he has completely stabilized the breathing state of all things, and can enter the meaning of cutting iron at any time. Already counted as a true swordsman. Moreover, he also learned from Bogart, who is a great swordsman, how to go after the swordsman. Directly from the original Wild Road, it really came to the right track. In the future, even if you practice step by step, you will be able to smoothly cultivate to the realm of the great swordsman. Secondly, there is the existence of armament hockey and observation hockey. In terms of armament hockey, he is just getting started now, and he can only wrap armament hockey around his forearm. In addition, it is also possible to attach armament hockey to the weapon to improve the quality of the weapon and enhance the lethality of the weapon. The most important thing is that he has the ability to attack Logia Demon Fruit Power. The improvement is not insignificant. However, it is not an easy task to attach armament hockey to the whole body, or even form an armed tattoo. It is something that requires hard work and continuous torture of one's body to do it. In the short term, basically don't think about any big improvements. In addition, in terms of observation hockey, Bai Han's current perception range has reached 1000 meters, basically reaching the middle level of primary observation hockey. Many naval headquarters rear admirals who have mastered observation hockey for a long time are just at this level. According to Garp, even putting aside other strengths, Bai Han already has a strength comparable to that of Naval Headquarters Rear Admiral just by virtue of his sword skills and two-color hockey. And if he goes all out, Bai Han personally estimates that his strength is between the elite Vice Admiral and the alternate Admiral. And if you use the third stage Susanoo at any cost, it shouldn't be a problem to compete against alternate Admiral in a short period of time. Until now, I finally have the capital to be among the strongest in this world. Pipe. Quote. There was a bit of excitement in Bai Han's eyes. Now he is also capable of securing the position of Shichibukai. Instead of being like before, living like a related household. Soon, the three-masted sailing ship flying the Uchiha flag sailed into the pier of the port city of Rapeseed in Alabasta. And this quickly attracted the attention of various forces. 1 month is long enough for the news that Bai Han killed the dragon pirates to spread everywhere. In addition, Bai Han himself was a hot figure before. The news King Morgans will naturally not let go of this traffic password. So much so that the whole world knows that Bai Han went to the Grand Line after killing the dragon pirates. As for the forces that only point to abilities, what is the relationship between the Du pirates and Jinbei in Seven Warlords of the Sea? Many people are actually waiting for Jinbei's statement and Bai Han's follow-up reaction. It's just that they didn't expect that after Bai Han came to the Grand Line. The first stop was actually Alabasta, where Kay Lakadar, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, was located. This information is incredible. It actually showed up in Alabasta. Many intelligence dealers secretly rejoiced in their hearts. If you sell the news that Bai Han is here to Jinbei, the other party will definitely offer you a lot of money. Moreover, many pirates are very interested in Bai Han now. They even said that as long as Bai Han dares to enter the Grand Line, they will kill Bai Han directly with thunder. Now is the era of pirates. What kind of vicious bounty hunters are doing? All of a sudden, Rapeseed Blossom, the super port of Alabasta, suddenly became turbulent. Of course, Bai Han knew nothing about these. But even if he knew, he wouldn't particularly care. With his current strength, the first half of the Grand Line is basically a one-shot kill, and the people who really threaten him are all in the New World. And the intersection from New World to Grand Line is guarded by Marine guards. Those New World pirates want to come to the first half of the Grand Line. It depends on whether Marine agrees. It would be great if those pirates really came to him as promised. That's all delivered to your door. Rapeseed Flower Port. Bai Han looked at the Marine female soldier in front of him, and said in a deep voice, "So I just need to rush to the rainy land now." The Marine female soldier with the rank of Major looked at Bai Han and nodded with red eyes, and replied, "Yes, Crane Vice Admiral and Momosugi Vice Admiral are already waiting for you there." Beauty. In addition, Mr. Bai Han, you can give, shall I sign it? You look so handsome without fear of 7 warlords of the sea. Obviously, this Marine female major is a little fan of Bai Han. In fact, Bai Han already has many little fans in Marine. On the one hand, Bai Han's photos are archived inside Marine. Therefore, Bai Han has many face powders in Marine. On the other hand, Bai Han's character and courage to carry out justice without fear of powerful enemies have also won Bai Han the love of many Marines. Even many high-ranking generals of the Hawk faction have a very good impression of Bai Han. There are only a small number of dovish Marines who don't like to kill, and they don't like Bai Han who never keeps alive. But on the whole, Marine still maintains goodwill towards Bai Han. Well, I know. Where are you going to sign? Bai Han didn't expect that he would still enjoy the treatment of a big star. This greatly satisfied his vanity, and at the same time, he was in a good mood to satisfy the wish of his little fan. The Marine female major in front of her was clearly prepared. She took out a marker pen from her pocket and handed it to Bai Han. Then he directly stretched out his slender wheat-colored thighs, and said shyly, "Just sign here, if possible. I hope it's a straight letter. Because I am currently in Alabasta, a desert kingdom with a sultry climate." The Marine major in front of her didn't wear much, and her lower body only had a pair of short shorts. Looking at the healthy and beautiful legs in front of him, Bai Han, who was about to sign with a pen, fell into a deep silence. Sure enough, when a forest grows big, all kinds of birds will appear. For a power as big as Marine, it seems that it is not incomprehensible for a few perverts to appear. How could he, who is an upright person, do such a pervert thing? Bai Han righteously took away Nami, who was full of thoughts. And behind the two of them, the female major Marine, whose legs were almost covered with orthographic characters, was so happy that she almost passed out. Since the ninja itself is suitable for long-distance running, plus this is also a kind of practice for chakra. Therefore, Bai Han did not look for any means of transportation. Instead, he took Nami directly to the desert. If it was Nami in the original plot, she would definitely not want to, nor would she be able to do such a thing. However, the current Nami has no complaints about this. The only thing that made her a little depressed was that Bai Han actually agreed to the request of the Marine female major to write orthographic characters on the base of the other's thigh. She swore she would never say a word to Bai Han until the end of the day. 10 minutes later, Nami couldn't help but took the initiative to find a topic and asked, Bai Han, how far do we need to travel? We are about to face 7 warlords of the sea, don't you need to save a little more chakra? For this challenge, even with Marine's guarantee, Nami still feels worried for Bai Han. Even if she knew that Bai Han was already very powerful. But after all, it is Klokdar, one of the old 7 warlords of the sea. Having done her homework before, she even knew that Klokdal is not only a Logia demon fruit power. Moreover, at the beginning, he also challenged Whitebeard, who was the strongest man in the world, and successfully retreated. It is precisely because of this that Klok was invited by the world government to become the 7 warlords of the sea. Although she doesn't know how strong Whitebeard is, the strongest in the world. However, the word strongest alone can explain a lot of problems. Don't worry, no need, it's just a lock. Bai Han shook his head. He wondered if he should take Locke outright. According to Marine's point of view, if he can kill Kelkadar, Marine definitely very happy to see. After all, for a mere pirate to wield such a powerful power, it's definitely a slap in the face of Marine. Marine can't wait to kill these 7 warlords of the sea. This can be seen from the original plot, where Locke was immediately beaten into impelled down by Marine just after he was defeated by Luffy. Even if it's to repay Marine's favor for pushing him into 7 warlords of the sea. He also had to give Klokdal a shot. As for the fact that Klok was killed, causing the sand fruit to flow back into the sea. There's actually nothing to worry about too much. Logia devil fruit is certainly very powerful, but that also depends on who is in the hands of. For example, the shame of Logia's swamp fruit ability user Caribou and gas fruit ability user Caesar. Even though these two have the mighty Logia devil fruit, they still can't exert much power. Moreover, sand fruit may not necessarily flow into the hands of pirates. Let the sand fruit flow into the sea, maybe in the future a powerful justice and order will be created. Seeing that Bai Han was so confident, Nami didn't continue to say anything. She wanted Bai Han to keep his strength and chakra as good as possible, so that he could be ready for the next battle. Under Bai Han and Nami rushing all the way. In just half a day, they have already arrived at the rainy land of Klokdar's lair, and the total raid distance exceeds hundreds of kilometers. After a long journey, Nami was out of breath. But Bai Han still looks normal, this consumption is nothing to the cage-level chakra at all. However, before Bai Han stepped into the rainy ground, a gust of turbulent yellow sand swept from the rainy ground, the momentum was as big as a sandstorm. Bai Han and Nami stopped at the same time. And Nami's eyes showed a bit of surprise. This is the first time she has seen the power of Logia devil fruit. This kind of power, like a natural disaster, made her subconsciously gasp. 7 warlords of the sea. Klokdar. Nami subconsciously clenched kunai, and said with a solemn face. Amidst the huge sandstorm, a figure quietly emerged. In the desert environment, Klokdar, who was still wearing a mink coat, appeared surrounded by sandstorms. He looked at Bai Han and Nami with a gloomy face. Yeah, ha ha ha, are you the kid that Marine said, you want to challenge me? East Blue Shira, what a terrible name. Shadows covered his eyes, and at the same time, his tone was full of contempt for Bai Han. As for Nami, he just ignored it. A woman from a small place like East Blue, what is there to care about? At this time, 2 figures wearing justice cloaks also flashed out from the rainy ground and landed beside Bai Han. The old woman with white hair looked at Smoker and said coldly, Klokdal, don't act rashly, remember what I told you before. Bai Han glanced at the old woman beside him. This old lady is none other than he Vice Admiral, a woman whose strength is beyond belief. He reckoned that Vice Admiral might at least be at the level of a backup admiral, otherwise it would be impossible for Doflamingo to chase after him. Crane Vice Admiral seemed to notice Bai Han's gaze, turned his head and nodded kindly to Bai Han. Bai Han also nodded to Vice Admiral, then turned his eyes to the other side like a little titan, and looked at his daughter Vice Admiral with a smile on his face. The female Vice Admiral is nearly 3 meters tall, which is the standard Marine Admiral height. Wearing a set of pink lace shirt on the upper body, the slightly exaggerated figure is vividly highlighted. She was wearing a pair of shorts at the bottom of her body, exposing her 2 slender and fair thighs to the air. At the same time, on the outside of the white left leg, a tattoo of a spider pattern was printed on it, adding a bit of enchantment to the woman Vice Admiral. Of course, the most attractive thing is the beauty mole on the corner of this woman Vice Admiral's mouth. This just right beauty mole greatly adds to the charm of Vice Admiral. This person is Naval Headquarters candidate Admiral Momoshige Gion, the only female swordsman in Marine. Little Bai Han, it's a pleasure to meet you. I've been hearing rumors about you in Naval Headquarters. Gion waved at Bai Han with a smile all over his face. At the same time, she also marveled in her heart that Rihan's real person is much more beautiful than the photos. In terms of her height, she was just able to see Bai Han's face clearly under the high collar, but this cover made her feel that Bai Han was even cuter. If it's not because of her status, plus she and Bai Han just met for the first time. She really wants to hold Bai Han in her arms and have fun. Not to mention in Marine, even among all the people she has seen and heard, she has never seen anyone who looks better than Bai Han. Bai Han, looking at the extremely tall woman in front of him, Bai Han lamented the magic of this world once again. If he and a female of this size, at 1.8 meters, he can be regarded as driving a big car, right? In other words, the protagonist in Resident Evil, when seeing Madame Hachichi, should have the same feeling as he does now. Although the thoughts in my head didn't know where they flew. But on the surface, Bai Han didn't change anything, he just calmly nodded to Gion and said, "It's a pleasure to meet you." Looking at Gion, who greeted Bai Han as if no one else was there, the veins on K-Lock's forehead twitched suddenly, and his fists hidden under the mink fur coat were tightly clenched together. This hateful woman is too contemptuous of him. However, thinking of the sword slashed by this woman before, K-Lock doll's eyes could not help showing a bit of fear. That terrifying level of swordsmanship is probably enough to be called the world's #1 female swordsman. Okay, let's put down your boring conversation and let me play with this Marine relation. K-Lock doll threw aside the mink coat behind him casually, revealing the golden hook in his left hand. His words were full of disdain for Bai Han. He decided to settle the fight in half a minute. He wanted to see, under such circumstances, whether Marine still had the face to push this kid to the position of 7 warlords of the sea. Being in the position of 7 warlords of the sea with this kind of ants is simply rubbing his face on the ground. Are you okay, Bai Han? Do you need a break? Crane Vice Admiral ignored K-Lock's urging, and asked Bai Han with a smile. No, let's resolve the battle as soon as possible. In addition, if he can be completely eliminated, will Marine have an additional bounty? Bai Han shook his head, looked at K-Lockadar with a flat face, and asked he Vice Admiral. As soon as this remark came out, both Marines Suru Vice Admiral and K-Lock were stunned. None of the three expected that Bai Han would speak so shockingly that he wanted to get rid of a current 7 warlords of the sea. K-Lock doll's face instantly became extremely gloomy. At the same time, there was a ferocious laugh on his face. He bent over and leaned in front of Bai Han, and laughed loudly. Yeah, ha ha ha, what did I hear? You want to get rid of Lousy? You kid from East Blue, you where did you get the courage to think that you can solve Lousy? Every year, this kind of idiot who wants to step on him appears. It's a pity that this crazy kid has Marine as his guarantor. He can't cruelly kill this kid. However, he will definitely teach this kid a lesson. Why don't you just cut off one of this kid's arms? First, believe that Marine will not do anything to him, the 7 warlords of the sea, because of this. Crane Vice Admiral and Gion were also stunned by Bai Han's question. Both of them looked at Bai Han in surprise. Gion even opened Sakura's lips and exclaimed, "Little Bai Han, don't underestimate the 7 warlords of the sea, their strength is still very strong, and Lockdar was once able to escape from Whitebeard's hands." Quote. Gion stabbed Lockadar in the chest without hesitation. After all, being beaten and fled by Whitebeard is regarded as the shame of his life by him. But considering Gion's strength, although Lockdal was angry, he didn't dare to attack. At least, now he is not Gion's opponent. Coupled with the old woman he beside him, if these two people really want to attack him, he will definitely die. Brat, it's all you. K-Lock Doll's anger towards Bai Han grew even bigger. He swore that he would not only cut off one of Bai Han's arms, but also one of Bai Han's legs. This is the only way to ease the anger in his heart. Crane Vice Admiral did not question Bai Han's strength like Gion did. She has seen Bai Han's profile countless times. He has a better understanding of Bai Han's character analysis than Han do. Therefore, she knew very well that Bai Han was definitely not an impulsive person. In addition, she got the information before. Garp also taught Bai Han along the way while sending Bai Han here. Therefore, Bai Han is absolutely very aware of the strength that K-Lock Dar, who is 7 warlords of the sea, possesses. And under such circumstances, Bai Han still asked this sentence, which undoubtedly proves that Bai Han has his own confidence. She was curious about where the white toilet had the confidence. After all, judging from the strength that Bai Han has shown before, Bai Han does not have the confidence to contend against K-Lock Dar. However, out of trust in Bai Han's character that she had analyzed, she chose to believe in Bai Han. If it can be resolved, that would be great. We will settle the settlement for you according to the bounty of a pirate of the same strength. Crane Vice Admiral said with a smile, without any scruples at all. A look of joy suddenly appeared in Bai Han's eyes. Bounties for pirates of the same strength as Clockadar. This is the rhythm to be distributed. You know, after the Summit War, Clockdoll was directly offered a reward of 1.965 billion berry. Although the current bounty is not as outrageous as it was after the Summit War. But it is conservatively estimated that the head of Clockdoll is worth more than 1 billion Baileys. G-Lock Doll. Nima, you won't betray anyone in the conspiracy, right? You kid is finished. If it's not that they can't defeat the old woman Gion and Crane, then they will be humiliated by these 3 today, and no one will leave alive, CEDF. Okay little girl, you wait with us first. Crane Vice Admiral took the hand of Nami who was nervous, and after comforting him, he walked to the side, leaving the battlefield to Bai Han and Lock Dar. Boy, you have successfully angered me, spend the rest of your life in regret. K-Lock Doll is in the right hand, and a group of rotating yellow sand is instantly condensed and formed in the palm of his hand. The high-speed rotating gravel directly formed a tornado, as if it could shatter everything involved in it. Sha Lan. K-Lock Doll raised his hand and flicked it, and the gravel dragon circle in his hand came out instantly. In a very short time, this gravel tornado turned into a huge tornado hundreds of meters long and more than 30 meters thick, strangling towards Bai Han. The killing range of this move is extremely huge. It perfectly shows the terrifying AoE ability of Logia Devil Fruit to the fullest. However, Bai Han's complexion did not change at all. If it was a month ago, Lock Doll could have caused him huge problems. But now, G-Lock Doll is nothing more than that. Even if the current Kelkadar occupies a favorable terrain, he can only display the strength of the elite Vice Admiral at best. The elite Vice Admiral. Ridiculous. Fire style extinguish fire. Bai Han made a final mark directly, and then his chest bulged high. Boom. In an instant, a huge sea of flames spewed out from Bai Han's mouth, engulfing all the objects within a width of more than 50 meters and a length of nearly 100 meters in front of him. The huge tornado released by K-Lock Doll was also instantly dispersed by the monstrous sea of flames. Even the sand on the ground melted into a reddish semi-solid crystal. This is the extinguishing of the fire released by Bai Han without mobilizing the enhanced ability of Mangekyo Sharingan. If you go through Mangekyo Sharingan's boost ability, the lethality and range of this move will become even more astonishing. But even so, this scene still made Gion cover his small mouth in shock, and exclaimed, such a huge flame, isn't this really the effect of Mara Mara Fruit's ability? Crane Vice Admiral sighed and shook his head. Kaido, this is not some Mara Mara Fruit ability, it should be a special ability mastered by Bai Han. Mara Mara Fruit has already appeared in East Blue, and was defeated by the Spade Pirates. Long Ace got it. A pirate again. Gion frowned in disgust. Young people in this sea always seem to be proud of going out to sea and becoming pirates. I have no idea how much trouble this will cause to other civilians. And the culprit of all this is Roger, the One Piece King. His words before his death completely ignited this era of rampage. Can't these people stand on the side of justice like Bai Han? Well, it's a pity. Crane Vice Admiral sighed, sorry. Shook his head. She is not just regretting that another future strongman has become a pirate. At the same time, I also feel sorry for Garp. This incident has dealt a great blow to Garp. My old comrade in arms really hopes that Ace can become a Marine. Because of this, Garp can take Ace under his wing in a fair and honest manner. Concentrating on the thoughts in his heart, GU Vice Admiral continued to focus on the battle between Rihan and Kalok-Dar. At this moment, seeing that his blow was easily dispelled by Bai-Han, Kalok-Dar raised a little bit of vigilance in his heart, and did not continue to despise Bai-Han. Although Sha Lan's move is not his ultimate move. However, this trick belongs to his strongman identifier. Those who can resist this trick are all strong men worthy of attention, and it is not so easy to solve it. Of course, Kalok-Dar didn't take Bai Yin too seriously. A bumpkin from East Blue doesn't deserve to be taken too seriously. Kalok-Dar instantly turned into yellow sand and disappeared in place. When he appeared again, he was already behind Bai-Han, and the golden hook in his hand was ruthlessly hooked towards Bai-Han's back. If this blow hits, it is definitely enough to tear Bai-Han's body easily. But unfortunately, under the perception of observation hockey, every move of Kalok is under the insight of white pages. Clang! A cold light flashed, and the two long knives hanging from Bai-Han's waist were unsheathed instantly. When, among them, the third-generation Goosh firmly held Kalok-Dar's hook. But Yukino, who was entwined with armament hockey, slashed towards Kalok-Dar's body. Because Kalok-Dar did not expect that Bai-Han, a bumpkin from East Blue, would actually master the two-color hockey. Therefore, he didn't mean to dodge at all. After Kalok-Dar sensed the danger and found armament hockey walking on snow, it was already too late to dodge. Puff! Bai-Han's knife, in Kalok-Dar's shocked eyes, slashed firmly on Kalok-Dar's chest. It's a pity that Lok-Dal is a veteran powerhouse after all, and finally avoided the crucial point at a critical moment. So much so that this knife failed to kill Kalok-Dar with a single knife. But even so, Kalok-Dar was still seriously injured by this knife. No one on the scene would have expected that, with just two moves, Kalok-Dar seemed to have fallen into a disadvantage. The scarlet tender flesh wound turned outward on Kalok's chest was like Bai-Han's metal, showing his extraordinary strength. Armament hockey. Kalok-Dar, who directly melted the sand, appeared in the distance, watching the black air flow on Bai-Han's blade, his pupils quake. He didn't expect this country bumpkin from East Blue to have such high-level skills. This is the ability that even he doesn't have master. Glancing at the hideous injury on his chest, Kalok-Dar was extremely thankful that he reacted in time. Otherwise, I am afraid that I will be cut in two by this knife. The attack attached by armament hockey is enough to threaten his life. I didn't expect you, a fool from East Blue, to have learned armament hockey. It seems that I can't treat you as an ordinary opponent. Being able to leave such an injury on my body, you are already proud enough. Surrounded by yellow sand, Kalok has entered his strongest form. As the Logia demon fruit power, Kalok-Dar has a terrifying and destructive power like a natural disaster, and he is even proud of it. I simply disdain to practice armament hockey and observation hockey. Put all the energy on the development of sand fruit. Naturally, he would not put Bai-Han, who had mastered armament hockey, in his eyes. For an opponent like this, he has already killed countless people in New World. Desert Sword. Kalok-Dar raised his hand, and a terrifying sand blade instantly formed, slashing towards Bai-Han. This sand blade, which looks like sword energy, is extremely powerful. Even a large ship can be easily cut in two. This is the true strength of Kalok-Dar, who is 7 warlords of the sea. Ha 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 ha, it's interesting this way, dance to your heart's content. Then please me. The sense of threat emerging from Kalok-Dar made Bai-Han's blood boil. Mangekyo Sharingan instantly appeared in the eye sockets and twirled. Sha Ren, who was originally extremely fast, also seemed to slow down, and the speed slowed down. Subsequently, Bai-Han directly used the ability of the left eye Mangekyo to strengthen the third-generation Ghost Toru and the armament hockey, who was entwined by Yuki. In an instant, it was as if two groups of black flames had ignited directly above third-generation Goosh and Yukino. After the increase in the ability of the left eye, at this moment, the power of armament hockey, who is walking up to third-generation Kitaru and Yuki, has directly increased by a large amount. For third-generation Ghost Toru and Snow Walk, the increase rate is at least 3 times as much as before. If it wasn't for the sake of saving a little pupil power, and at the same time, K-Lock Doll's strength is not worthy of Bai-Han's doing this, Bai-Han can even increase this increase to more than 10 times. Even facing Garp's armament hockey, it's not necessarily impossible to run into him. Of course, it's just a collision at the armament hockey level. Garp's terrifying power was still irresistible. Bass. Accompanied by a shrill piercing sound, Bai-Han tore through the air and disappeared in place in an instant. The sand blade that K-Lock Doll swung was like a hot knife cutting butter in an instant, and was directly cut into 2 by the middle. At the same time, Bai-Han's figure rushed towards K-Lock Doll without any hindrance. This scene shocked Lock Doll into a cold sweat. Such a sharp blade. Is this kid really from a place like East Blue? Even those great swordsmen are probably nothing more than that. Lock's lower body directly turned into yellow sand, and at the same time as he retreated rapidly, he extended his right hand and thrust towards the ground suddenly. Desert Great Sword. The next moment, a huge yellow sand sword with a length of more than 10 meters cut out from the ground in an instant, and slashed fiercely at Bai-Han, who was charging. The terrifying impact from the bottom up endowed the already powerful yellow sand great sword with terrifying penetration. Even if it is not as strong as in the future Summit War, it has the ability to cut off a Kainu with one move. But it's definitely enough to make the average elite vice admiral feel extremely tricky. Coupled with the sudden concealment, this blow even made Suru Vice Admiral and Gion, who were watching the battle, a little bit more serious. As expected of the veteran 7 warlords of the sea, although it doesn't know armament hockey and observation hockey, it is enough to surpass most people in the development of fruit abilities. It's a pity that he is a pirate. Crane Vice Admiral narrowed his eyes slightly and said regretfully, "This guy really looks like Smoker." Both rely heavily on Logia Devil fruit. But the difference is that the sand fruit of Lokdar is more aggressive than the smoke fruit of Smoker. Hee, it's really good, but the little Bai-Han is stronger. He actually forced K-Lock to run away with his head in his arms. For a while, I didn't know who was the challenger. Gion stared closely at Bai-Han with a pair of beautiful eyes. The appreciation in his eyes was extremely intense. He is good-looking, powerful, and more importantly, has a heart of justice. This little man doesn't have too much strength for her luck. Moreover, Bai-Han is only 18 years old. One must know that at this age, even the current Marine 3 admirals, including Marine Hero Garp and Marine Marshal Sengoku, are far from being so powerful. This means that the future of Bai-Han is simply immeasurable. Could there be a more perfect other half than this? That's true. I'm afraid that in the near future, even those so-called 4 emperors will be chased and killed by this little guy, right? Crane Vice Admiral couldn't help but smile. If the 4 emperors could be eliminated, the pressure on Marine's shoulders would be greatly relieved. At the same time, I can spare time to deal with those pirates in various places. After all, she turned her gaze to Bai-Han, with a look of expectation in her eyes. With Bai-Han's current strength, I'm afraid it won't be long before he can have the strength to kill such a big pirate as K-Lock Dar. Crane Vice Admiral naturally didn't know, Bai-Han didn't use his full strength at the moment. Not even half of the power was used. Because, while Bai-Han is enjoying the battle, also constantly brushing the fusion degree from K-Lock Doll's body, Kedar, who is strong enough to play the elite vice admiral in the desert environment, is definitely a very good opponent. Although it was blocked by the desert sword for a moment. However, the next moment Bai-Han cut off the desert sword and continued to rush towards K-Lock Dar. Forced K-Lock Dar can only continue to retreat rapidly, while releasing the desert sword to delay Bai-Han's footsteps. He is obviously a close-up warrior, but he lives like a mage in a daze. You actually forced me to this extent. K-Lock Doll was very irritable in his heart. Being beaten like this by a junior, in itself made him lose face. What's more, this is a junior from the weakest sea like East Blue. He was forced to such a degree by the juniors who were cultivated in that kind of hotbed. This dealt a severe blow to his self-esteem. K-Lock Doll directly raised his hand, rolled up a large amount of yellow sand and turned it into a tornado to wrap around his body. The dense gravel, under the rolling, directly turned into a meat grinder-like existence. Even Bai Han had to stop his pursuit. Without activating Mangekyo Sharingan's ability, Susanoo. If he wanted to break into such a sandstorm tornado, he would also become covered in bruises. It's a pity that his swordsmanship level is still too low. If he could be like those great swordsmen, he could slash out a sword aura tens of meters long by raising his hand. Such a tornado is not a big threat to him. It seems that it is going to enter the second stage. Bai Han inserted the two knives back into the scabbard at his waist and muttered. Through observation haki, he was able to see the body of Lokdar in the center of the tornado, which gradually gathered amazing energy. Since the other party is going to play long-range confrontation with him, he naturally can't lag behind. At this moment, Lokdar also completed his attack. Desert Sunflower. Lokdal slapped the ground heavily. In an instant, the desert shook suddenly, and then sank in an instant, forming a huge quicksand bunker. It's different from the kind of casualness when facing Luffy. At this moment, Lokdal almost used his full strength. So much so that this huge quicksand bunker has a diameter of more than 300 meters, which is even enough to swallow 2 football fields. Even Suru Vice Admiral, Gion and Nami on the side were affected. So much so that they had to cast moonwalk and jumped into the air. Of course, Nami was naturally carried up by Gion. Otherwise, in the face of such moves, even Nami, who already possesses impressive strength, would also be powerless to revolving heaven. After all, things like quicksand are really terrifying. If the summit war starts in the desert, Klokadar will definitely become the most beautiful pup on the pirate side after Whitebeard. Is this the strong man on the sea? This is too exaggerated. Having just walked out of East Blue, Nami, who had never seen anything in the world, exclaimed directly, a small face full of shock. If you let her face Lokdal. I'm afraid that in the previous blow of the desert sword, he was already dead. Suddenly, a little worry grew in her heart. I don't know how much chance Bai Han has against such an opponent. Even Gion looked at Lokadar's move, his face became dignified and sighed a bit. Logia Demon Fruit Power, which occupies the home court advantage, the advantage is too great. Desert Kingdom Alabasta is simply tailor-made for sand fruit. Here, in less more than 2%, her strength surpasses that of Lokdal. Otherwise, even the alternate admiral would be extremely difficult to take down Kelkadar in the desert environment. If Lokdal wants to escape, I am afraid that apart from Kizaru Admiral, even Aokiji Admiral and Akainu Admiral cannot help Lokdar. After all, under the advantage of the home court, Klokadar can easily turn into yellow sand and blend into the desert under his feet. However, stepping on the sinking quicksand, Bai Han's face did not show the slightest wave, and there was even a bit of disappointment in his eyes. Having condensed the attack for a long time, is this the only result? Bai Han glanced at Lokdar, who was standing on the edge of the quicksand pit, and asked in a flat tone. Lokdar, who was standing on the edge of the quicksand pit, showed a sinister smile on his face, and at the same time, his right hand turned into sand. That's the only way. You can come up first before we talk. The Desert Diamond Sword. Lokdal's right hand, which turned into yellow sand, grabbed Bai Han hard. In an instant, the right hand that turned into yellow sand spewed out instantly, turned into 4 sharp blades, and slashed at Bai Han's head. There is quicksand swallowing under the feet, and there is an attack from Lokadar above the head. For a moment, Bai Han seemed to be in a huge crisis. However, sand is not used like you, let me teach you. Since he was not using the familiar fire-style ninjutsu, Bai Han quickly formed seals with both hands, sand escape sand instant body. Whoosh! Bai Han's body instantly melted into the quicksand under his feet. At the same time, the 4 extremely sharp sand blades of the Desert Vajra Saber also cut into the yellow sand where Bai Han was before. Directly in the quicksand potholes, left 4 bottomless traces. No bloodline, no attack on him. How is that possible? Lokdal frowned instantly. What he cut was the position where Bai Han was swallowed by quicksand just now. How could the other party not be in that position? However, isn't the ability to move in the yellow sand exclusive to people with sand fruit abilities? At this moment, the yellow sand around Lokdar suddenly moved. In an instant, it surged towards the central Klokadar, forming a 5-meter-sized yellow sand coffin in an instant. At this moment, Bai Han's voice also came faintly from the side. Sand escape sand-bound coffin. This is exactly one move ninjutsu that Gaara uses very often. Can use chakra to control yellow sand to form a coffin and strangle enemies with terrifying power. However, this move is not enough for K-Lock Doll. After all, the Logia demon fruit power ignores all physical attack methods, and wants to hurt Kelkadar by strangulation. That's just a dream. But this is just the pre-casting. Bai-Han's fingers quickly formed seals, and soon completed another ninjutsu. Sand escape, violent burial in the desert. In an instant, the surrounding yellow sand suddenly became violent. And around the coffin, a huge pyramid with a height of nearly 100 meters and a base close to 1,000 meters was formed. The terrifying squeezing force inside the pyramid is even enough to reach 10,000 tons. Even a monster like the One Piece world constitution, few people can withstand such a squeeze. However, Bai-Han didn't think his move could kill K-Lock Dar. After all, K-Lock, who ate sand fruit, is sand himself. How could he die under the attack of sand? He simply wanted to let K-Lock Doll know about Huang Sha's real attack method. Always act like a swordsman. What kind of words do you use to attack with slashes? Sand should play like this. He wanted to do this when he was watching anime. And now that he really has such an opportunity, he will naturally not miss it. And the scene that happened in front of me at this moment. But the eyes of Gion and Suru Vice Admiral who were watching the battle instantly widened. This. How is this possible? Bai-Han can actually control the yellow sand. Crane Vice Admiral exclaimed in disbelief. Just based on the ability Bai-Han displayed at this moment, Bai-Han is even more like a sand fruit ability user than K-Lock Dar. Could it be that there are devil fruits similar to sand fruit in this world? No, Bai-Han seems to have demonstrated the power of Mara fruit before. Could it be that there is such a magical devil fruit in this world? It shouldn't be. If such a powerful devil fruit really exists, it is impossible for Marine to not exist in the data records. It's unbelievable. If I'm wrapped in this yellow sand, even I won't feel good. Little Bai-Han really has too many secrets. Gion was also full of shock, but she was more excited. Such a mysterious little man is so attractive. At this time, Nami suddenly heard from the side with a somewhat proud voice, "This is actually ninjutsu. It's not the power of devil fruit. Ninjutsu." The attention of Crane Vice Admiral and Gion was immediately attracted, and they looked at Nami. This thing called ninjutsu can make people have such terrifying power. Such power is even comparable to devil fruit. If you really have such power, why eat devil fruit? That's right, it's ninja. Nami secretly looked at the two of them, and then said. What Bai-Han said was indeed correct. Marine would definitely be very interested in his power. But this is actually quite normal on. In the days when she was traveling with Vice Admiral Garp, she already knew the power of this ability from Marine on the boat. Ordinary people who want to gain a powerful ability like ninjutsu can only eat devil fruit. However, if you eat devil fruit, you must pay the price of becoming a landlubber. This is undoubtedly a very fatal thing in a world where almost 90% of the world is ocean. But now, there suddenly appeared a means to obtain such powerful power without eating devil fruit. How could anyone not be tempted? However, Bai-Han didn't intend to keep it private. He even thought about spreading this ability to the whole world. Let everyone have an extra path to choose, everyone can practice chakra, and everyone can use ninjutsu. What a great move. Thinking of Bai-Han who said these words to himself with his back to the sunset that evening, Nami couldn't help sighing in his heart. However, Nami didn't know that Bai-Han was actually grinning inwardly at that time. If everyone in One Piece world really has chakra and everyone uses ninjutsu, this may indeed improve the level of combat power in One Piece world. However, once Bai-Han has Rinnegan, ninjutsu will be meaningless in front of Bai-Han. Therefore, even if ninjutsu is spread, it will not have any effect on Bai-Han. The only ones who can pose a threat to him are still those experts who specialize in physical skills. And it is easier to practice, and the powerful ninjutsu can be practiced. How many people will go to the hardships to practice physical jutsu? This also means that the world's threat to him will decline sharply. Therefore, Bai-Han deliberately passed on the secret of ninjutsu to Marine through Nami's mouth. Gion and Crane Vice Admiral were indeed interested as Bai-Han thought. Such a powerful sand control ability, which seems to be stronger than Lock Doll, is actually derived from this thing called ninjutsu. Then this ninjutsu is too exaggerated. Is that so? Crane Vice Admiral suddenly had countless thoughts in his mind. She plans to have a good discussion with Bai Han later, and try to buy ninjutsu practice methods from Bai Han. If you can master this power, then Marine's status at sea will be directly improved by a large margin. After all, most of the time, what limits Marine's strength is because the sea environment battlefield cannot spread out. So much so that Marines and pirates can only rely on ships to fight on the sea. Once mastered the miraculous ninjutsu of stepping on water as if stepping on a flat bottom, Marine's strength will be raised to a terrifying level. At this moment, the pyramid that suppressed Klokdar also experienced violent vibrations. Bai Han felt that Klokdal was frantically fighting for control of the sand. While it is possible to increase chakra, block Lok's move. However, Rihan didn't intend to wrestle with Klokdar. The reason why he uses sand escape ninjutsu is just to satisfy the wish of his previous life. It is a standard attack method that does little harm and is extremely humiliating. Naturally, there is no need to waste chakra on such things. And without the suppression of Bai Han, the pyramid composed of yellow sand was also controlled by Klok in an instant. A large amount of yellow sand directly formed a huge crocodile head. And the uninjured Klokdar also appeared on the head of the yellow sand crocodile. It's just that Klok's face is extremely gloomy at this moment. How dare you humiliate Lousy? Who do you think Lousy is? Klokdal growled loudly. The next moment, the yellow sand crocodile under Klokdar's feet let out a roar and rushed towards Bai Han. Hundreds of millions of tons of yellow sand are pouring directly towards Bai Han. The scene is extremely spectacular. Lokdal was really broken by Bai Han's move. His self-esteem was already very strong, but now he was humiliated by Bai Han, and he was directly dazzled by anger. He just wants to tear Bai Han into pieces. It doesn't matter if this 7 warlords of the sea is wrong. What to find Whitebeard's revenge plan? What to look for in Pluton? What shit 7 warlords of the sea? He doesn't want it anymore. He just wants this kid who looks down on his fruit development ability to be killed by the moves he developed. HMPH, mere gravel is not as good as me. Bai Han snorted coldly, and quickly sealed his hands. Fire-style huge fire extinction. Bai Han let out a low snort, and suddenly protruded a mouthful of meteor-like flames, blasting and killing the giant yellow sand crocodile rushing towards him. Under the augmentation of the left eye Mangekyo Sharingan ability. This burst of fire extinguished the meteorite-like flame, and the diameter directly expanded to a size of 70 or 80 meters. Although there is only one word difference between Haohuo Mie. However, Haohuo Mie is more concentrated than Haohuo Mie in terms of attack methods. If you have to describe it in words, one of the two is a short-range flamethrower, and the other is a medium and long-range flame launcher. In terms of scale, it is even better to extinguish the fire. However, in terms of impact force and single body power, Huohuo Mu, which is like a spurting arrow, is even better. Boom! The hot pillar of fire instantly baked on the yellow sand crocodile. The yellow sand crocodile, which was still aggressive, was stopped in an instant. Moreover, the yellow sand quickly turned red and melted, forming lumps of glass crystals. Under the scorching flames, Klokdar's offensive was easily resolved. Even Klokdal had to give up the yellow sand crocodile and was forced to retreat hundreds of meters. You can't dance anymore, sand crocodile, Klokdal. Looking at Klokdar, who was suspended in the yellow sand and hadn't attacked for a long time, Bai Han said with a blank expression. If this is the case, then this battle is too boring. Then he won't continue to hold back. Suddenly, Klokdal looked up to the sky and laughed loudly. Yeah, ha ha ha, Lousy underestimated you, East Blue Shira. Since you really want to die, then Lousy will fulfill you. As Klokdar's voice fell, the entire desert suddenly rioted. Countless gravels began to dance crazily, just like a volcanic eruption. At least the sand sea within a few kilometers is moving at this moment. This is the true strength possessed by Klokdar as 7 warlords of the sea. At the same time, this is also the natural disaster-like destructive power of sand fruit, a Logia devil fruit. Klokdal has made plans to kill Bai Han at all costs. With such a huge movement, even Crane Vice Admiral's face changed drastically, and he shouted at K-Lock-Dar, K-Lock-Dar. If it is true that K-Lock-Dar has mobilized such a large amount of yellow sand, then, the power of this blow will even infinitely approach the attack of an Admiral-level powerhouse. Moreover, even she and Momoshiki may not be able to completely block an attack of such a scale. After all, the most outstanding feature of Logia Devil Fruit is its huge attack range. HMPH, who do you think lousy is? Go to hell, red-eyed boy. K-Lock-Dar ignored he Vice Admiral's warning at all, roared angrily, stretched out his hands and pushed towards Bai Han fiercely. Suddenly, the yellow sand within a range of several kilometers suddenly surged like a huge wave. Then overwhelmingly crushed towards Bai Han. The huge scene was even more shocking than Bai Han's previous desert burial. At this moment, there are more than 10,000 tons of yellow sand. Even tens of billions of tons. Hundreds of billions of tons is not enough to describe the monstrous attack at this moment. This is at least 1 trillion tons of thick yellow sand. Even if it is simply smashed at the enemy, it is already terrifying to the ultimate. This is the so-called one-force break-all method. At the same time, it is also the strongest attack of Clockadar. An attack that can only be released in the desert terrain. HMPH, that's kind of interesting. Bai Han's face was full of excitement. From this blow, he felt unprecedented pressure. At the same time, his degree of integration with the young Madara is also rapidly improving. This kind of battle is the battle he wants. Since you want to win by quantity, then use that trick. Bai Han's sealed hands turned into afterimages, so fast that others couldn't see clearly. Water style. Who will repair the dam? The next moment, a stream of water gushed out of Bai Han's mouth like a waterfall. Under the increase of the ability of the left eye Mangekyo Sharingan, in a very short period of time, it turned into a huge water flow that was not inferior to the K-Lock-Dar yellow sand. The two behemoths collided quickly, and it seemed that there were only two colors of yellow and blue left in the world. This scene directly shocked Suru Vice Admiral and Gion beside him into deep shock. They never imagined that this so-called ninjutsu could be perverted to such an extent. Actually, out of thin air in the desert, such a huge stream of water flowed out, which was enough to compete with the desperate K-Lock-Dar. This is the same as. It also made them understand that they seriously underestimated the potential of ninjutsu. This is definitely a powerful method that can bring out a huge advantage in the battle of the alternate admiral class. Of course, Suru Vice Admiral and Gion didn't know that this was actually the result of Bai Han using Mangekyo Sharingan to enhance ninjutsu. Otherwise, the power of this trick would definitely not be so outrageous. In the end, after Bai Han did not remember Chakra's water-style big explosion, he finally won the victory. Compared to K-Lock, who needs to continue to expend energy to control the yellow sand rolling towards Bai Han. Bai Han, who only needs to open his mouth to spit out, is undoubtedly more relaxed. What's more, the terrifying impact brought by the water flow is not comparable to that of mere yellow sand. That kind of domineering force pushed everything across, directly forcing K-Lock-Dar's sand sea to retreat steadily. In the end, after K-Lock-Dar was exhausted, the huge current directly washed away the sand sea and engulfed K-Lock-Dar in it. Under the package of the water flow, although K-Lock-Dar did not lose the devil fruit ability, he did not lose energy. But because he can't swim, he can only struggle painfully in it. Even because the body is surrounded by water, the current K-Lock-Dar can't even melt sand. HMPH, 7 Warlords of the Sea is nothing more than that. You're already down before I've had enough fun. Bai Han glanced at K-Lock-Dar, who was struggling in the center of the water polo, and said with a cold snort of dissatisfaction. He thought that Lock-Dal could still struggle a bit. However, who would have thought that after the opponent was defeated, he would not even have the ability to escape from the explosion. This is too disrespectful to him. Are you really sure that you will fight hard? Erosion reincarnation. Lock-Dal in the water polo covered his mouth and stretched out his right hand to cast his ability. The water polo immediately began to shrink at a speed visible to the naked eye. This is also one of the abilities of Sand Fruit, devouring all the surrounding water. If enough time is given to K-Lock-Dal, K-Lock-Dal is fully capable of breaking through the shackles of the blast wave. But it's a pity that Big Bang Water Shockwave is actually just a Venue ninjutsu. And Bai Han has lost interest in continuing to fight, so naturally he will not give K-Lock a chance to escape. Let this boring battle end. Bai Han slowly drew out his two sabers, and armament hockey entangled them in an instant. The next moment, Bai Han disappeared in place in an instant. When he appeared, he had already crossed the lock in the center of the water polo and came to the other side of the water polo. Puff! The scarlet blood instantly stained the Chinese medicine polo. 7 warlords of the sea, who had lost his elemental ability, was directly defeated by Bai Han. 7 warlords of the sea. But that's all. Bai Han slowly put the knife back into its sheath. Wow! Accompanied by a splash of water, the huge water bubble instantly merged into the space between heaven and earth. Without the support of chakra, these summoned waters will not be preserved. And Klokadar's body was also thrown heavily on the ground. On his chest, he was left with a huge cross-shaped wound, which was the fatal wound that caused K-Lock's death. The reason why K-Lock Doll lost to Bai Han so quickly was ultimately due to his own negligence. At the same time, there was still some disdain for Bai Han lurking in his heart. In addition, he didn't know much about Bai Han's ability, so he died here. If Bai Han is replaced by Whitebeard, K-Lock Doll will definitely not play like this. At least, if K-Lock Dar is determined to escape, even Bai Han can't do anything to K-Lock Dar. Crane Vice Admiral, Gion, and Nami standing aside had their eyes completely wide open, staring blankly at K-Lock Dar, who was lying on the ground and had lost his life, and Bai Han standing aside. None of the three thought that Bai Han would not only win the battle with 7 warlords of the sea. He even directly killed K-Lockadar, who was 7 warlords of the sea. With such a terrifying record, even Vice Admiral, who is as wise as a crane, is still buzzing in his mind. It actually did it. Crane Vice Admiral looked at Bai Han in a murmur, recalling Bai Han's question before. Before, she thought it was Bai Han's youthful and frivolous, but who would have thought that Bai Han was actually playing for real? Clock is actually dead. Xiaohei, what should we do now? Gion asked, frowning. Killing K-Lock Dar is a good thing for Marine. However, this will actually greatly increase the difficulty for Bai Han to become 7 warlords of the sea. After all, the 7 warlords of the sea are people from the world government anyway, almost equivalent to the face of the world government. And what Bai Han is doing now is like a slap in the face of the world government. It would be a ghost if the world government could let go easily. Crane Vice Admiral's eyes flashed. He estimated the value of Bai Han in his heart, and then said in a deep voice, it's okay for an ambitious person like K-Lock to suddenly appear in Alabasta and become a good man. There must be a problem. Let's block it first, the news that Lock Doll is dead, and then thoroughly investigate his details. We'll definitely find some problems. As long as they are handed over, it will be enough to stop the mouth of the world government. Such a powerful talent of Bai Han, coupled with the miraculous ninjutsu, is enough to make Marine's strength soar. Enough to make Marine pay the price and save it from death. Otherwise, he Vice Admiral would not dare to imagine that a person like Bai Han would be pushed to the opposite side of Marine by the world government. What a terrifying existence Marine will face in the future. The opponent is now only 18 years old and has killed K-Lock Dar, who is 7 warlords of the sea. In this future, I am afraid that the characters at the 4 emperors level will be the most. It is even possible to become the legendary taboo existence, a big man like rocks. Well, that's the only way to do it. Gion nodded heavily, and then immediately walked towards Bai Han with a smile on his face. Little Bai Han, you're doing really well. Are you tired? Let my sister give you a press. My sister is a professional. Don't touch it. Bai Han is my captain. Seeing this scene, Nami immediately let go of the shock in her heart, roared and ran after Gion's back, leaving Crane Vice Admiral standing alone in meditation. Magic ninjutsu, strange eyes with special abilities. Bai Han, how many secrets do you have? Crane Vice Admiral's eyes flashed, but soon she returned to her kind look and laughed at herself. Really, after serving as a staff officer for a long time, my heart seems to have become a lot darker. As long as Bai Han can always stand on the side of justice, that's our Marine's partner. She didn't continue to think about those questions. As for Bai Han's secret, she didn't mean to delve into it. It's as if she knew that Garp's grandson, Ace, had a strange background. But he still pretended to be stupid and stunned, as if he didn't investigate. Sometimes, some problems do not need to get to the bottom of it. It is enough for everyone to know what is in their hearts. Only by turning a blind eye and closing one eye can the friendly relationship between the two sides be maintained. She didn't want to push such a powerful genius from the justice camp into the evil camp. Amid the slapstick between Gion and Nami, the four handled the battlefield well. Then they all returned to the rainy land. The rainy land at this moment has been completely blocked by Suru and the marine brought by Gion. At the same time, a special device to shield the signal of the phone bug has also been erected. At this moment, no news can be delivered here. And after blocking the news of K-Lokdar's death, if you want to collect information about K-Lokdar, it is very simple. After all, Lokdar was dead and there was no way to interfere with Marine doing anything. But with the so-called Bay Lok studio alone, how could it be possible to be compared with Marine? Therefore, Klokdal's conspiracy calculations were soon exposed. However, this result made the faces of Crane Vice Admiral and Gion extremely gloomy. As the 7 warlords of the sea, K-Lokdar is actually planning to seize Alabasta, a member country of the world government. As for why they want to seize the franchise country, it is not difficult to guess with the identities of the two. That must be the legendary Pluton hidden in Alabasta. Not Pluton Rayleigh, the first officer on the One Piece ship. It's the Pluton, known as the world's #1 warship. According to legend, Pluton has the terrifying power to smash an island with one cannon, and is a well-deserved terrifying weapon. These 7 warlords of the sea really have their own ideas. Klokdar is like this, and Doflamingo is definitely not much better. Gion clenched a pair of pink fists, showing the anger in her heart at this moment. That is a franchise country that ranks among the top in the world. Once they are really counted by a pirate, then their marine will definitely lose face. Even a bad one will directly cause a crisis of confidence in Marine, causing the public to no longer believe in Marine's ability. No way, all Marine protested against the birth of the 7 warlords of the sea system back then, but it still didn't have any effect. 7 warlords of the sea is just a means for the world government to suppress Marine. Crane Vice Admiral did not hide the truth from Bai Han, shaking his head and replied. In other words, he Vice Admiral said these words to Bai Han on purpose. She wanted to let Bai Han know that Marine and world government are different. Don't become hostile to Marine just because you are dissatisfied with world government. After all, Marine is just a poor wretch shrouded in the shadow of the world government, carefully maintaining justice. Compared to the world government, which is huge and has absorbed so much blood from this world. Even Marine, known as the strongest overlord in the sea, is only a slightly bigger threat. Even if it is completely wiped out, it will not reach the level of injury. However, what makes he Vice Admiral a little regretful is that after she finished speaking, Bai Han didn't have much reaction. Of course, she didn't know that Bai Han, who had mastered the perspective of God, already knew what the world government looked like. Naturally, Bai Han would not react too much to Vice Admiral's words. On the other hand, Nami was shocked by the news. She always thought that the 7 warlords of the sea were all Marines thugs, a non-staff combat force under the rank of Marine. But who would have thought that the 7 warlords of the sea was actually a means for the world government to suppress Marine? If this news gets out, it will probably cause panic in the world. After all, there seems to be a disagreement between Marine and world government, so it's a bit too shocking. Now that the evidence of such a serious crime has been found, it will be much easier to deal with it. Crane Vice Admiral directly unblocked the rain. All of a sudden, the spies from all parties passed on the news immediately. Morgans, the news king whose eyeliner is almost all over the world, naturally got the first-hand news. What? That East Blue Shira actually killed K-Lokdar. And he also has the ability to control sand that is suspected to be sand fruit, and he can even control water. My God, what an amazing news. This is definitely going to shock the world. Morgan's whole bird was shaking with excitement. He could already foresee that the world was shocked by this news. Wait, you said you still saw Marine General Staff Suru and Alternate Admiral Momoshige Gion at the scene. Morgans frowned suddenly. These 2 women are definitely the ceiling of Marine's female combat power. Crane's strength is hard to say, but Momoshige Gion must be a real candidate for Admiral's strength. As a great swordsman, if that woman Momoshige really wants to fight for her life, even the existence of Admiral and 4 emperors would not dare to underestimate Momoshiki. These 2 women who were almost at the top of marine are also present here. Does it mean that there is a marine calculation in it? Could it be that marine wants to deal with 7 warlords of the sea? Countless thoughts flashed through Morgan's mind. In that case, let's make this news bigger. Morgan's opened the corner of his mouth, already thinking about how to write the next news. After a while, a press release titled, "The newborn sun is about to rise and the strongest Evergold hunter is born. Marine will assist the Evergold hunters to regain their former glory," was received and written. Morgan's watched with satisfaction this press release that he had spent a lot of pen and ink to promote the presence of marine executives at the scene whereby Han killed Kalakdar. The arc of the corner of his mouth never came down. This is definitely the most exciting news that he has ever fabricated in his career history. After all, this will definitely stir up turmoil in the world. On the one hand, this news provoked conflicts between 7 warlords of the sea and marine. On the other hand, the news about the bounty hunter is enough to stir the nerves of those pirates. After all, bounty hunters, like marines, belong to the opposite camp to pirates. What does it mean that marine wants to promote a bounty hunter now? Don't you just want to get rid of the pirates with the help of bounty hunters? Ha 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 ha, I'm such a genius. Morgans laughed. After a while, he directly said to the subordinates beside him, "Move the headquarters immediately, but don't let the people from the world government and marine find us." He thinks that breaking Marine's secret will inevitably lead to Marine's pursuit. Little did they know, this was exactly what Marine wanted to see. Noodle. The arrival of the era of great pirates made Marine unable to breathe, and the New World 4 emperors had already restrained too much of Marine's energy. They can't even manage the 4 seas. He had no choice but to choose to put the pirates into the New World, a stupid way to let these pirates attack and fend for themselves. The appearance of Bai Han, who is on the side of justice and a bounty hunter, gave them hope to relieve the pressure. They don't ask the bounty hunters to do too much, as long as they can stabilize the world. Then, Marine can have enough energy to deal with the 4 emperors of New World. With the power of Newsbird, Morgan's newspaper quickly swept the world. The information from various forces has basically just arrived, and Morgan's newspapers have followed suit. When they saw that East Blue Shira, who was fabricated to end the era of great pirates, actually killed Kalakdar, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, their first reaction was impossible. After all, Lok Darna is a famous big pirate. That is the man who once entered the New World, tried to challenge Whitebeard to the throne of One Piece, and was not dead in the end. Although Locke was defeated by Whitebeard, no one can say that Locke is weak. That hand of Logia sand fruit is enough to make Kalakdal the top 1. However, it was such a big pirate who died in the hands of that East Blue Shira. What a joke. The so-called East Blue Shira is just a bumpkin who has just stepped out of East Blue. Why did he kill Kalakdal? Marine is playing the game of borrowing a knife to kill people. I'm afraid that Locke was killed by Momoshiki and the old woman Crane. On a small island in New World, a big pirate with a bounty of more than 1 billion read the newspaper and sneered. Locke Dahl's strength is not inferior to him, how could he be killed by a kid from East Blue? This news is as exaggerated as if a newcomer who just learned boxing had knocked out the world's top boxing champion for the first time in the ring. And the idea of this big pirate is also the idea of most people. They didn't believe that Bai Han, who was only 18 years old, had the ability to kill Kalakdar. As for what is the ability to control sand and the ability to control water, in their opinion, it is even more outrageous. This is so inappropriate, it's fake news released by Marine. In order to kill a 7 warlords of the sea, Marine really don't even want to face. Of course, the vast majority of people mentioned here are just those big pirates. For ordinary people, this is enough shocking news. After all, that is the aloof 7 warlords of the sea. It is the super big pirate that suppresses the first half of the Grand Line, and it is a huge organization that can be compared with the strongest pirate force in the world, the 4 emperors. Each of the 7 warlords of the sea is a top powerhouse in the world. And it was such a strong man who was beheaded by an 18-year-old boy. Is there anything more terrifying than this news? Not to mention, in the news, it is also described that this boy has the ability to control yellow sand like a sand fruit, and the ability to control water with a possible water fruit. It was even revealed before that Mara fruit has the ability to control flames, coupled with the extremely powerful swordsmanship level shown this time. This is simply the existence of the protagonist in Legends and Legends. What's more, Bai Han's reputation is still an excellent bounty hunter, which undoubtedly makes ordinary people even more crazy. Master Bai Han is too strong. I didn't expect to kill the 7 warlords of the sea as soon as he went out to sea. He will definitely put an end to this so-called era of great pirates. Ha 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 ha, what a bullshit era of great pirates. Now is the era of bounty hunters. Pirates of this era, tremble. Master Bai Han will kill you all. Pirates, I have no ability to punish you, but now someone is here to punish you. Master Bai Han, come on. East Blue Shira is no longer enough to call Master Bai Han. Master Bai Han is the Shira of the world. World Shira is too ugly, just call Lord Bai Han Shira. Of course, there are also concerns about Bai Han's behavior. 7 warlords of the sea is a big pirate appointed by the world government and has the right to plunder legally. Will this cause the White Chip Master to be wanted by the world government? Yeah, if Lord Bai Han is pushed to the opposite of justice. No way, the world government shouldn't do this. If Master Bai Han is pushed to the opposite side of the world government, who else can stop him? At this moment, they can only pray that this kind of thing will not happen. Once this kind of thing really happens, the consequences will be extremely terrifying. An 18-year-old boy has the ability to single-handedly kill Klokdar, and I am afraid that he will at least be an Admiral 4 Emperors level existence in the future. Such an existence is enough to have a huge impact on the world. Meanwhile, New World's 4 Emperors also saw the report. Wano-kuni, the surrounding area. Kaido on the throne took a sip of wine and laughed loudly, woo. Kaido's tone was full of disdain for Bai Han. He naturally knows the name of 7 warlords of the sea. However, trying to compare them to 4 emperors is a joke. Except for Hawkeye and Jinbei, who are worthy of attention, the others either rely on their beauty to get ahead, or they fail to hide. What qualifications does such a person have to be compared with their 4 emperors? It's just a clock doll, an ant that can't even beat the 3 billboards on his ship. IWC, Cake Island. The obese and huge Big Mom was lying on a chair, eating dessert while looking at the newspaper in his hand. From time to time, saliva dripped down the corner of Big Mom's mouth, making a sizzling sound. Even the rocky ground was eroded by the water, and large holes appeared one after another. This pair of eyes seems to have special power. I don't know what the child born with him will look like, oh. Katakuri, after this brat arrives in New World, go and catch him. Big Mom glanced at the tall man standing below, and said indifferently. Yes, Mom. With a scarf on his mouth, the tall Katakuri replied in a deep voice. On a certain island in New World, a group of pirates sat together and held a banquet. In the most central position, a red-haired man with a broken arm held a newspaper in one hand with an extremely gloomy expression on his face. The 7 warlords of the sea were actually killed. This will cause chaos in the balance of this sea. We've got to talk to this rambunctious brat. The red-haired Shanks, one of the 4 emperors, glanced at the vice-captain Ben Beckham beside him, and said coldly. The world is in a good place right now. As long as 7 warlords of the sea fills the last gap, the world will fall into balance. Whether it is marine or pirates, they will not dare to act rashly because of the appearance of this third party. But now, Bai Han's act of beheading a 7 warlords of the sea will undoubtedly greatly lose the prestige of the 7 warlords of the sea, because of the meaning of building. This is a situation that Shikun does not want to see. If this bounty hunter named Bai Han stops now, then he can consider letting him go. But if the other party is stubborn, he doesn't mind burying him in this sea. You are the captain, you have the final say. However, I feel that this is more like Marine's handwriting. They want to pick up a bounty hunter and mobilize the polarity of bounty hunters all over the world. Ben Beckman said with a smile, smoking a cigarette. As one of the few people with the highest IQ in the pirate world. Even though Ben Beckman doesn't have much information at the moment, he can still analyze a lot of things from it. It's just that he didn't expect that Marine just wanted to push Bai Han to the position of 7 warlords of the sea. When Shanks heard this, the gloom on his face disappeared instantly, replaced by an idiot-like smile. Ha ha ha, in this case, let's go to the first half of the Grand Line. Also, before going, let's have a party. The words of the Banquet King Shanks instantly ignited the atmosphere of the Red Hair Pirates. A group of pirates cheered with wine glasses and leg meat. On the vast sea, a large ship like a whale sailed slowly. On the deck of the big ship, a burly titan with a white crescent beard was sitting on a huge chair. There are also a lot of medical equipment on his body, such as oxygen cylinders and drips. This person is none other than Whitebeard, the strongest man in the world. It's just that, as the sun sets, Whitebeard, who is as powerful as Whitebeard, is also suffering from the pain of old age, and has to be connected to an IV to maintain his body carefully. Gu la la la, another interesting little ghost appeared in this sea. However, it's a shame that Lockdar died at the hands of a junior. Whitebeard put down the newspaper in his hand, thinking back to the kid who once challenged him. I thought this kid would leave a strong mark in this world. But who would have thought that Clockdoll died like this, and he really came back alive? Father, do we need to get rid of him? This Bai-Han may become our threat. Crouching beside Whitebeard, a man with a pineapple head asked. At this moment, it is Margot, the first captain of the Whitebeard Pirates. At the same time, he is also the deputy captain of the Whitebeard Pirates and the ship's doctor. The strength is not inferior to the powerful existence of the alternate admiral level. Margot's worries are also normal. In terms of the potential Bai-Han has shown, it will be a matter of time before he becomes an admiral for Emperor's class in the future. This is indeed a huge threat to their Whitebeard Pirates. After all, the other party is a bounty hunter. Whitebeard glanced at Margot, snorted coldly and threw the newspaper on the ground. Why do you want to deal with him? Lousy is Whitebeard. If he dares to provoke Lousy, let him come. As Whitebeard's voice fell, the terrifying conqueror's haki spewed out instantly. A dark cloud floating in the distant sky was even torn apart and shattered instantly by this momentum. On the surface of the sea, I don't know how many huge Poseidon floated up. This is the terrifying strength possessed by the strongest man in the world. Even a simple burst of Conqueror's haki can easily cause huge damage. But no matter what, Bai-Han has already entered the sight of the world's top powerhouses and has gradually been taken seriously. At this moment, the highest meeting room of the world government is born. The 5 elders, who hold the highest authority in the world, gathered together. What was placed in front of them was Bai-Han's information. From the time Bai-Han appeared in East Blue, everything he did was recorded in detail. Ninjutsu. What kind of strange ability is this? I remember that this thing seems to be called Wanokuni. 5 elders, with a scar on his face, stared at the information in front of him indifferently and said aloud. Wanokuni's so-called ninjutsu is nothing more than the power of devil fruit, and I guess this untouchable named Bai-Han has only the power of some kind of devil fruit. Holding the ghostly 5 elders in his arms, Pai laughed and said in disdain. The devil fruits in this world all come from the power of human fantasy. When people's power of fantasy is strong enough, a devil fruit with corresponding ability will be born in this sea. I saw it on the internet before. I don't know if it's true. It feels a bit like the setting of the Eye of God. It is not uncommon for some people to imagine that they have the ability to control water, sand, and fire at the same time. Even if there is a little more ability, there is nothing to be particularly concerned about. The power of devil fruit is only auxiliary after all. Whether it is strong or not depends entirely on the user himself. He doesn't seem to be a member of the D family. People of the D family will not be as peaceful as him, and he does not have the temperament of the D family. 5 elders with a long beard said after carefully reading the documents several times. Upon hearing this, the expressions on the faces of the other 5 elders suddenly became casual. Since he's not a member of the D family, there's nothing to worry about. But this time he killed the 7 warlords of the sea. It's just a slap in the face of the world government. Let Marine deal with him. People who have slapped the world government in the face are not allowed to survive in this world. 5 elders, holding a generation of ghosts, said in a serious tone. The killing intent of this 5 elders is also the heaviest among the 5. Otherwise, he would not be able to subdue the generation of ghosts who are the supreme master. This is an existence comparable to the supreme sharp sword of the eagle-eyed Heidaoya. It is the top demon sword in the world. Well, but the presence of Marine is a problem. What are they trying to do? Is it true that, as the newspapers say, they want to use the hands of this pariah to kill Lakadar? Bald. The 5 elders at the top folded their arms and said with a frown. It doesn't matter what purpose Marine has. What the world needs is stability. The existence of the 7 warlords of the sea is necessary. Marine, 4 emperors, and 7 warlords of the sea must form a pair. Otherwise, how could those joining countries obediently send money from the sky? Quote. Finally sitting on the sofa, the curly-haired 5 elders in style spoke. This is also an important reason why the world government promoted the 7 warlords of the sea plan. As for what the 7 warlords of the sea want to do, harm the civilian population of that country, what does that have to do with them? Just a bunch of untouchables trampled underfoot by their celestial dragons. At this moment, the phone bug on the table rang suddenly, interrupting the conversation of the 5 people directly. Li Jiao Jiao curly 5 elders reached out and picked up the phone bug. Soon the phone wormed into Sengoku's appearance, which made all the 5 elders present frown. Just now we talked about whether Marine has any purpose, and now Sengoku suddenly appeared, which made them all smell a hint of conspiracy. Sengoku, do you have anything to report? Curly-haired 5 elders spoke. Master 5 elders, I have come to report to you about Lakadar. Mimicking Sengoku's voice, the phone bug replied. The faces of the 5 elders suddenly showed sarcasm smiles. Are they finally going to show their fox tails? Compared to them who have lived hundreds of years ago, Sengoku is a little too immature. There is nothing to say about Lakadar. If a mere pariah dares to kill the 7 warlords of the sea personally appointed by the world government, he must die. It happens that Marines Crane and Guion are in Alabasta, so let them kill that pariah. And you Marines are nearby, why don't you stop him? Sengoku, you're really going back. 5 elders, holding a generation of ghosts, directly reprimanded Dao Jia. And directly ordered, and took away by Han's ending. Even if this is the story of a bounty hunter killing a pirate. However, as long as the pirate is recognized by the world government, it belongs to the official power. It can also be seen from this that the darkness of this world. However, Sengoku on the other side of the phone bug didn't panic at all. Then what if Lakadar wants to usurp the status of the Alabasta royal family who used to be the celestial dragons? It was because they discovered this matter, but it was not easy to defy the world government on the bright side, so they chose to let Bai Han, who is a bounty hunter, kill Lakadar. Quote, Marines approach, but to maintain the face of the world government. Chapter 71. These words instantly changed 5 elders' expression. What? That fool wants to take Alabasta's throne. The balding 5 elders stood up with a bang, his face blazing with anger. Although Alabasta had given up going to the red line at the beginning, he became the celestial dragon's aloof. However, the opponent is indeed a descendant of one of the 20 kings who overthrew the rule of the huge kingdom, and has the same blood as celestial dragons in his body. Although Alabasta is disgraced by the celestial dragons, they are fellow celestial dragons. Locke's actions have seriously touched the bottom line of celestial dragons. This pariah, if he hadn't died, I would have given him the cruelest death penalty in the world. 5 elders, who was holding a generation of ghosts, also said with a grim face. While he was speaking, the air in the conference room even became a bit tense, as if there were ghosts floating in the air. Several other 5 elders also showed different signs. Obviously, these 5 elders are all top powerhouses in the world. At least, they have been able to interfere with changes in the real world with their own momentum. Sengoku, even so, he is a bounty hunter after all, and the bounty hunter becomes the 7 warlords of the sea. Will this cause dissatisfaction among the other 7 warlords of the sea? The curly-haired 5 elders restrained his anger, and said with narrowed eyes. The 5 of them are old monsters who have lived for hundreds of years, how could they be too angry because of this kind of thing? Soon he calmed down and began to pay attention to Sengoku's intentions. Once the bounty hunter Bai Han is really made into 7 warlords of the sea, then 7 warlords of the sea may not even be able to maintain the harmony on the surface. Is Marine trying to break the 7 warlords of the sea's restriction on Marine in this way? Such thoughts emerged in the hearts of the 5 elders. Yes, this will indeed cause dissatisfaction among the other 7 warlords of the sea, and even lead to their disharmony. Sengoku didn't hide it at all, and said it directly. because he knew that it was impossible for 5 elders to be fooled by this. Sure enough, the interest of the 5 elders was aroused, and they also wanted to know what Sengoku said behind. In other words, what kind of confidence does Sengoku have, thinking that he can convince the 5 of them? However, what does their dissatisfaction have to do with us? The reason why the 7 warlords of the sea became the 7 warlords of the sea has its own appeals. They all appeal to the world government. Hancock of 9 Snake Island doesn't want Marine to get close to 9 Snake Island. Jinbei wants the Fishmen Island to be protected by the world government, so as to change the status quo of Murlocs and humans. Hawkeye wants to stay out of the world government's wanted list after sparring with other swordsmen and wreaking havoc. Each of them needs world government, we don't need to care what they think. Let a bounty hunter join 7 warlords of the sea, which will hit them hard, let them know that world government wants whoever becomes the 7 warlords of the sea can become the 7 warlords of the sea. This is exactly where the majesty of world government is displayed. Sengoku's impassioned voice, transmitted through the phone bug, echoed in the conference room. Even the 5 elders were taken aback by the presentation. It seemed that something was wrong, but they felt that what Zongguo said seemed to make sense. This is indeed a good opportunity to promote the majesty of the world government. In particular, the world government discovered K-Lock's conspiracy and saved the matter of Alabasta. Perhaps, it can be used to gain the favor of the current Alabasta royal family, so as to get the Pluton that the Alabasta royal family took away when they left. Although the current world government is already very powerful. However, they are still very envious of such a big killer like Pluton. If you can master this big killer and copy it, you will create the strongest marine fleet. Then, it will be easier for them to rule those untouchables. In this case, let this pariah become 7 warlords of the sea, this matter is handled by you Marines, why? The curly-haired 5 elders patted his mouth shut. No matter how you look at it, for the world government, the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. It would be great if this matter could be passed to make the remaining 6-7 warlords of the sea obedient like dogs. I see, Lord 5 elders. Sengoku in the marine conference room hung up the phone with a satisfied smile on his face. The next step is to publicize the matter of K-Lockdar and Bai Han becoming the king of Chiwu, CEAB, High. In addition, news came from Xiaohei earlier that Bai Han has the idea of trading that magical ninjutsu, and we are also ready to offer what kind of price is more appropriate. Sengoku said to the marine executives in the conference room. This time it is for the battle between Bai Han and K-Lock, as well as the subsequent impact issues. Sengoku deliberately summoned most of the idle marine executives. Even Kizaru and Akainu were sitting in the conference room, except for Aokiji in New World who needed to keep an eye on the 4 emperors who hadn't returned yet. It seems that his justice is not inferior to this old man. Akainu hung his cigar, and a satisfied smile appeared on the corner of his rigid mouth. He is liking this bounty hunter who has the same philosophy as him more and more. Pirates, the scum of the world, shouldn't live in this world, no matter how high their status is, they must die. Just like this time, even if he knew that killing Clockdar would make his path to become 7 warlords of the sea not smooth. It may even be reduced to the end of being hunted down by the world government. But Bai Han still didn't have any intention of keeping his hand, and killed K-Lockdar without hesitation. If only there were more people like Bai Han in the marine, no, if only there were more people like Bai Han in this world. Then the pirates in this world have long been wiped out. Beyond digging, the young people nowadays are really scary, even that guy Clockdoll was killed, this world is really dangerous. Kizaru also used his usual yin and yang tone to express his shock. After all, at the age of 18, he also cannot do what Bai Han is doing now. It wasn't until he was in his 20s, after graduating from Teacher Zephyr, that he gradually showed his sharpness. It wasn't until he became Vice Admiral that he had the strength comparable to Alternate Admiral. The 2 Marine Admirals present have expressed their views, and it is naturally impossible for the Vice Admirals below to have any opinion on Bai Han. What's more, except for a certain spy, Vice Admiral, everyone here has their own justice in their hearts. For a righteous person like Bai Han, even if he doesn't like Bai Han's methods, it is absolutely impossible to reject him. To put it bluntly, which of you here has less blood on your hands? Okay, in order to welcome Bai Han's arrival and grant him the status of 7 warlords of the sea, you all get ready. Sengoku waved his hand and gave the order. Bai Han is definitely the first to be granted the status of 7 warlords of the sea in naval headquarters, and none of the high-ranking marine generals has felt the existence of the shock. After all, compared to those other 7 warlords of the sea, Bai Han can definitely be regarded as one of his own. At the same time, Bai Han, who was in the rain, also received a message from Marineford through Vice Admiral. After hearing that his identity as 7 warlords of the sea has been stabilized, Bai Han couldn't help showing a smile on his face. After having this identity, I finally have a certain status in this world. 7 warlords of the sea. Anyway, it is second only to Marine and 4 emperors. Even if it is hailed by the pirates as the so-called hyena of the world government. But, that's talking about other pirates. As a bounty hunter, if he doesn't rely on official influence, can he still rely on pirates? And, the guys at Marine are pretty nice. Smoker. Garp, including Crane Vice Admiral and Guion. I owe a lot of favors to myself. There is nothing he can do now, he can only help them kill more pirates to reduce the burden on Marine. Are you going to hang out in Alabasta for a while? Still, meet us at Marineford now, and Marine is already preparing for your inauguration ceremony. Crane Vice Admiral looked at Bai Han kindly, and asked with a smile. During this period of getting along, I became more and more satisfied with Bai Yao. Sufficient self-discipline, never wasting any chance to become stronger. She is very polite, showing full respect to her old woman and other old people. Of course, this respect is limited to the other party worthy of respect. If he meets someone who is old and disrespectful, Bai Han will not be polite either. This made he Vice Admiral feel that Bai Han is a principled person and will not be kidnapped by so-called morality. Bai Han glanced at Nami, and consulted Nami's opinion. Let's go straight away. Nami immediately shook his head and said. In the previous period of time, she basically walked around the rainy place. At this moment, I don't have much thought to stay here anymore. What's more, Nami also wants to watch Bai Han become 7 warlords of the sea as soon as possible. This is enough to witness a historic scene. Such a young 7 warlords of the sea is second only to Hancock, who was the most beautiful woman in the world. Moreover, Bai Han is actually stepping on the corpse of his predecessor, 7 warlords of the sea, K-Lock Doll. In terms of gold content, it is not inferior to characters like Chi Ping and Hawkeye. Of course, the more important thing is that Nami has not forgotten that they are still facing the threat of Jinbei, one of the 7 warlords of the sea. Although both are 7 warlords of the sea. But Jinbei's strength is not comparable to that of K-Lock Dar. Especially if the other party is a murloc who can roam freely in the sea. This naturally has a huge advantage for humans like them who need to rely on boats and breathing. Only when Bai Han also becomes 7 warlords of the sea can the possibility of Jinbei's attack be avoided. After all, 7 warlords of the sea are forbidden from fighting each other. Otherwise, this will be regarded as a provocation to the world government, and the position of 7 warlords of the sea will be deprived, and they will be wanted by the world government again. As long as Bai Han can become 7 warlords of the sea, there is basically no need to worry about the threat from Jinbei. In that case, let's go now. Bai Han looked at he Vice Admiral and replied. Okay, let's go then. Crane Vice Admiral smiled and said. As for Guion, it is impossible for Guion, who is the alternate admiral, to be so free. The advent of the era of great pirates has led to a serious shortage of marine manpower, and the world government also does not allow Marine to expand its force. Therefore, Guion is only just stayed here for a day or two and left regrettably. However, before leaving, Guion gave Bai Han a personal phone bug, which he said was used to keep in touch with each other frequently. Although Bai Han felt a little speechless, he still accepted it. He is still very interested in Guion, the #1 female swordsman in Marine, and possibly even the #1 swordsman in Marine. Although it has the left eye augmentation ability of Mangekyo Sharingan. However, Bai Han's attainment in swordsmanship is just the first step of becoming a swordsman. There is still a long way to go before the second step of cutting out the sword energy. Soon, Vice Admiral's warship and Bai Han's 3-masted sailboat slowly left Alabasta Rapeseed Port. However, Bai Han, who stabilized the route, did not practice immediately. Instead, he stroked the blade and looked into the cabin, and said indifferently, "Are you coming out by yourself, or should I ask you to come out?" As soon as he got on the boat, he felt a strange breath appearing on his boat. However, considering that the person might be Nico Robin, and besides the warship of Crane Vice Admiral, he did not act rashly. He didn't start to ask until the boat was fully started. Otherwise, he would have killed anyone who dared to break into his boat. For the poor man Nico Robin, Bai-Han is still very sympathetic. A girl whose hometown was destroyed since she was a child, her relatives and friends were massacred by the Marine, and she was wanted by the world government. She grew up step by step in the dark. How much suffering he endured is simply beyond the imagination of ordinary people. Therefore, if he could help, he would naturally help this poor little girl. Nami also came to his senses at this moment, and subconsciously took out kunai and held it in his hand. At the same time, she also blamed herself secretly in her heart, that she was so careless, that she didn't even know that she was mixed into the boat. There was silence in the dark cabin, just when Nami thought that the people inside would not come out, and she was about to use force. There was a sound of footsteps in the darkness. Boom, boom, boom. A black leather beauty with an unusually mature appearance, wearing a black leather jacket, stepped out of the cabin. The woman's face is full of intellectual breath, which is easy to make people feel good. "Sorry, I didn't mean to board your ship. I will leave when I am safe. Please let me go, Master Bai-Han." Nico Robin bit his lower lip, looking at Bai-Han nervously. Robin wasn't sure if he would be let off. However, she didn't have any intention of running away. Because, she knew very well that there was no point in running away. The man in front of him was a terrifying existence who had just killed K. Lakadar, who was 7 warlords of the sea not long ago. Even K. Lakdal can only survive on the breath of the other party. What's more, what about this even more terrifying man in front of him? However, at that time, Marine thoroughly investigated the entire Rainland to collect evidence of K-Lock's crime. Every corner of Rainland will be rummaged by Marine except on this ship of the scary man from East Blue. She has nowhere to hide except on this man's boat. "Are you Nicole Robin, son of the devil?" At this time, Nami on the side exclaimed in a low voice. Hearing that his identity was recognized, Robin couldn't help but thumped in his heart. The mood sank to the bottom of the valley. Originally, she wanted to hide in a safe place on the boat and leave quietly. But she didn't expect this terrifying man's perception to be so powerful, and he discovered her existence in an instant. And now he was recognized again. "Then, I'm afraid I can't keep my head worth 79 million berry." "Feel sorry," Robin apologized, but after a moment of silence, he still didn't know what to say. In front of this bounty hunter whose subordinates had never lived, begging for mercy seemed useless. Moreover, even if he leaves here, where can he go? After 18 years of wandering in this vast world, Robin felt deeply exhausted. Or, let's leave it at that. It seems like a good choice to just go to see my mother. However, at this moment, a slightly petite embrace suddenly hugged her, which made Robin a little stunned. She lowered her head and looked down, only to see the orange-haired girl hugging her tightly with a look of pity on her face. "You must have had a hard time all these years." While Robin lowered his head, Nami gently rubbed Robin's long black head. "Maybe it's because I've been drenched in the rain. Therefore, it is more able to feel the pain of rain." Robin's experience, she heard from Bai-Han before, was that an 8-year-old girl ran around in the sea with a reward of up to 79 million berry, fleeing for her life in embarrassment. Not only do you need to consider what you can eat for your next meal, you also need to always pay attention to those who are staring at your head. Even she couldn't imagine such a hellish experience. At least, she still has Nuauchigao and everyone in Kokosha village, and at the same time, she doesn't need to face the malice of the whole world. However, Luo Guan really only has herself. It is hard for her to imagine how much Robin has suffered in these years, and how many tears she shed alone in a dark corner. Robin was taken aback by Nami's actions. She only felt her nose sore for a while. How long has no one cared about her? Although this concern comes from the bounty hunter who is likely to dedicate her head to the world government, it still makes Robin feel like crying. Nami hesitated for a moment, and turned his attention to Bai-Han. Bai Han, why don't we let Robin go? I will find a way to make money to cover the bounty. 79 million berry may be an astronomical figure for her before. However, after more than a month of training, she has the ability to compete with those pirates whose bounty exceeds 50 million berry. Therefore, saying this sentence is not a boast. However, Bai Han did not agree to Nami's request, but looked at Robin and said in a deep voice, "Go. Nico Robin, you should know your situation, where else can you go? The world government wants to find you, but it's not something that happens in a while. As the only existence in the world today who can understand the text of history. Robin's value to world government, no, it should be said that Robin's value to any ambitious person in this world is naturally conceivable. It can be said that Robin is almost the enemy of the world. Ordinary people peek at Robin's bounty. Careerists spy on Robin's ability to understand historical texts. And the world government wants Robin too. Both good and evil, even ordinary people, want Robin. The world is big, but there is no room for Robin." As soon as Bai Han said this, Robin's face turned pale instantly. If it wasn't for Nami's hug, I'm afraid he would have just slumped to the ground. The hopelessness of being swallowed by the world made Robin even feel suffocated. However, but Nami didn't say anything. She knew that Bai Han was never a talkative person. The reason why she said so must have the meaning of Bai Han, and her opening the mouth is likely to destroy Bai Han's plan. "Nico Robin, you joined K-Lock's forces because you want to get the protection of the 7 warlords of the sea, right? Why don't you join my subordinates?" Bai Han looked at Robin with a bit of heat in his eyes. There is absolutely no better crew for him than Robin. Robin was frightened by Bai Han's eyes. She immediately looked at Bai Han vigilantly and asked, "Are you also an ambitious man who wants to rule the world by interpreting the text of history?" If this is the case, then even if she dies, she will not decipher the historical text for Bai Han. At the same time, she also felt disappointed in Rihan in her heart. I didn't expect that East Blue Shira, who had a good reputation in the legend, was actually nothing more than that. History text. What's the use of that kind of thing? It's just a loser's diary. Bai Han shook his head with a bit of disdain in his tone. Even the legendary giant kingdom has been overthrown by the present world government. Is the historical text inscribed by the great kingdom really that important? If the huge kingdom is really so awesome, a few words left behind can give people the power to easily overthrow the world government. The existence that ruled the world at the beginning will not be overthrown. If you want to overthrow the world government, you must have absolute force after all, otherwise everything will be useless. What's more, Bai Han has no interest in ruling the world. If you rule the world, you have to manage it, and all kinds of troubles are enough to put him on the shelf. He would be crazy to peak at that position. Besides, as long as he has absolute strength, who would dare not obey his orders? In that way, it doesn't matter to him whether he sits in that position or not. Bai Han's words made Robin a little confused. Since she doesn't need to decipher the historical text, what does Bai Han need her on board? Is it possible to think? What do you need from me? Robin bit his lower lip and asked. In such a desperate environment, if she could have a place to stay, even that kind of thing would not be unacceptable to her. She is tired of the life of fleeing, and she no longer wants to live the life of needing to beware of everyone. She also wanted to find a place to stop and have a good rest. After fleeing for 18 years, she is now 26 years old, and she is already very tired. Bai Han looked at Robin like looking at a baby, and said in a condensed voice, "You don't need to do anything, as long as you stay by my side." As soon as these words came out, Nami's face changed instantly, and he pushed Robin away subconsciously, and his eyes showed defensiveness. Good guy, Robin, who looks so mature and looks like Cleopatra of a certain country, is indeed a great beauty full of exotic customs. Is it possible that my own pigs are trying to shove other people's coffee beans? Robin obviously misunderstood something because of these words, and his slightly dark face couldn't help but blush. Could it be that this young man who killed K-Lock really had any thoughts about her? However, this is not impossible. With the other side, she should be able to have a period of time without fear. And Bai Han looked at the reaction of the two, and obviously knew what the two had misunderstood. However, with his sullen face, he couldn't see any changes in his expression. Bai Han's tone was still as flat as before and explained, "Don't get me wrong, I think you should also know your value to those ambitious people." Equals. Robin nodded as he said, and Lockdoll was precisely because she could understand the text of history. That's why she kept such a huge danger by her side. Otherwise, once it was discovered that he was taking him in, Kalok would definitely be directly deprived of his position as 7 warlords of the sea. A hot smile curled up on the corner of Bai Han's mouth, and he continued, "As long as I keep you by my side, these ambitious people will come here to make trouble. It's really difficult to find people in this sea. How can there be such an ease when the other party comes to your door?" Thinking of the continuous battle in the future, the blood in his body has already boiled. Those powerful beings from all walks of life who come to him will become the stepping stones for him to reach the peak. Those great pirates of the New World. Those so-called Dark Emperors. Even the 4 emperors, who are high above all the pirates and divide up the 4 largest territories in New World, will come to their door because of this. Nico Robin, who can understand the text of history, is too tempting for these people. Even now, there are still many pirates who are dreaming of becoming the One Piece King. As for Redhead and Whitebeard, they have no intention of competing for One Piece though. However, it will also come to your door. In order to maintain the stability of the sea, the red-haired pirate shitstirrer waits for the appearance of Joey Boy. Will definitely come to the door like a shit-stirring stick, and get rid of Robin. Although Whitebeard won't be tempted by Robin, his sons and daughters don't think so. Even Marco wants to put Whitebeard on the throne of One Piece. Therefore, he and the Whitebeard pirates must have conflicts. With Whitebeard's old man's protective personality, once a son dies in his hands, the relationship between the 2 parties will never end. Thinking of fighting against the strongest man in the world, Bai Han felt a burst of excitement. I even wish I could find a group of pirates to kill them now. So, with Robin by his side, he was like a big baby. This is a torch in the dark night, which will attract countless ambitious people like moths. Robin, Nami. Looking at Bai Han, who suddenly fell into excitement, the word lunatic popped up in both of their hearts. Just listening to Bai Han's language description, they can feel how terrifying it is. It can be said that once this message is delivered, go, maybe half of the top experts in this world will make some moves. However, facing this terrifying pressure, Bai Han is far from fearless. On the contrary, I felt extremely excited. What else could this be if it wasn't a lunatic? However, they were shocked by Bai Han's courage. There may be many people who dare to say this kind of thing, but how many people dare to actually do this kind of thing? At the same time, while Robin breathed a sigh of relief in his heart, he couldn't help being speechless. So, in the eyes of this bounty hunter, is she just a tool to attract monsters? However, Bai Han's attitude made her feel relieved. At least it has utility value, so it won't be thrown away at will. She should also be able to temporarily have a shelter, right? After agreeing to Robin's invitation to board the ship, Bai Han also cooked himself and cooked a sumptuous dinner as a celebration. In addition, during the meal, Robin also learned from Nami that Bai Han is going to Naval Headquarters Marineford to become 7 warlords of the sea. This made Robin feel extremely complicated. On the one hand, it was because his previous boss, 7 warlords of the sea, Lockdoll, had just died. He immediately joined another 7 warlords of the sea's subordinates. On the one hand, it was because I, as a wanted criminal by the world government, was about to go to naval headquarters. If he didn't know that Bai Han's strength was too terrifying, he wouldn't even be a match for his former boss, Lockdoll. She really wanted to wonder if Bai Han had the idea of tricking herself into naval headquarters. Of course, what shocked her even more was that the world government would agree to let a bounty hunter become 7 warlords of the sea. This is completely locking the 2 mortal enemies in the same cage at the same time. This makes her completely unable to understand what the purpose of the world government is. But no matter what, Robin felt that he could have a good night's sleep. At least, the character of Bai Han as a bounty hunter is infinitely stronger than that of Kay Lockdoll as a pirate. For her, who has not had a good rest for a long time, this is definitely a great joy. Next, the magnificent battle is about to begin. Bai Han looked at the starry sky above his head, and was already looking forward to the super intense battle when Robin's identity was revealed. That will inevitably lead to a rapid increase in his fusion. Of course, that is definitely not now, and now his strength is not enough for him to expose Robin's identity. Moreover, the reason why he put Robin on board was not only for this purpose. Anyone who has watched One Piece knows that standing behind Robin is Marine Admiral Aokiji. Aokiji wants to see if Robin, who has the ability to spy on the text of history, is really a demon that destroys the world, as the world government said. So as to confirm whether the act of destroying Ohara was right or wrong. In the original plot, Aokiji helps Robin quickly integrate into the Straw Hat Pirates. Even deliberately staged a sudden scene to let Robin see the sincerity of Straw Hat crew. And, after the plan failed, Luo didn't really integrate into the Straw Hat crew. Aokiji even gave Spandam the golden phone bug that can summon Buster Call, so that Spandam can bring enough pressure to Robin, tear Robin's psychological defense line, and reveal his fragile heart. So as to really join the Straw Hat crew, rather than using the relationship in the past. Being able to do this kind of thing shows how much Aokiji cares about Robin. As long as Robin is brought by his side, at least Aokiji will be escorted by him in the future, which is of great benefit to him. After all, as a bounty hunter, he will have a lot of dealings with Marine in the future. If there is an internal high-level personnel to ventilate, it will reduce a lot of troubles. Nico Robin, will you really join my boat? Bai-Han took a deep look at a certain room deep in the cabin, and muttered meaningfully. What he said before is actually the same as what Aokiji did, that is, to tear down Robin's psychological defense, so that she can join in sincerely. Don't think about disappearing all of a sudden. He doesn't want to be Zero, like Luffy, and make a big Enies lobby scene. With the help of Marine's technology and waterway. However, in just half a month, Bai-Han arrived at Marineford at the end of the first half of the Grand Line from Alabasta. This terrifying speed is also one of the reasons why Marine can become the overlord of the sea. If sailing normally, this journey will take at least 4 to 5 months. However, passing through the Marine internal route is like taking a fast elevator directly. And as the only ship that landed at Marineford port that was not a warship, the three-masted sailing ship that Bai-Han snatched from the beast pirates instantly became the most beautiful boy in the audience. That round fan logo, he is the strongest bounty hunter in the world. Hiss, I'm finally going to meet a real person. I've already prepared the light sign. Master Bai-Han is coming, aha, I haven't dressed up yet. This is the big guy who killed Clocadar, one of the 7 warlords of the sea. I'm afraid this is comparable to those alternate Lord Admiral. There was a sudden commotion on the docks at Marineford. However, because it is an official organization after all, these Marines have their own basic relationships. There was no such thing as a swarm of bees besieging the port. It's just that many people subconsciously slowed down and looked sideways frequently, wanting to see Bai-Han's true face. After all, Marine has been preparing for this inauguration ceremony during this time. And, this one became 7 warlords of the sea, they were convinced. Whether it's the amazing record, or the identity of the bounty hunter, people can't fault it. And when Bai-Han officially set foot on the port with Nami, Garp, Flying Squirrel and other vice-admirals were already waiting here with smiles on their faces. As the Marine hero, Garp personally received them, and with the addition of a group of Marine vice-admirals, this specification is already terrifying. As for Sengoku personally receiving, that is basically impossible. Unless Bai-Han can reach the level of Admiral 4 Emperors. Otherwise, someone else, the boss of a top maritime power, would lose face. However, Sengoku is also already waiting in the meeting room. For the first bounty hunter to become 7 warlords of the sea, even Sengoku attaches great importance to it. On the one hand, he is really optimistic about Bai-Han. On the other hand, he also needs to show enough importance to the bounty hunters, so that those righteous people who hide among the people and don't want to join the Marine can see the way out of the bounty hunters. So as to carry forward the path of bounty hunter. Once the bounty hunters solve the middle and low-level pirates wandering in various sea areas, Marine can draw enough troops to plan the new world. That piece of land that does not belong to Marine's rule has always been a thorn in Marine's heart. PFF ta ha ha. Bai-Han boy, you did a good job this time. You even killed that guy K-Lock. Garp slapped Bai-Han hard on the shoulder. The terrifying wind pressure made Bai Han's expression change instantly, and he handed over the body replacement technique directly and disappeared in place, leaving only a stand-in wood in place. Boom! In an instant, the stand-in was smashed into powder by Garp's slap. This scene directly made Bai Han, who teleported to the side, break out in a cold sweat. Fortunately, I hid quickly, otherwise I would have been slapped by this slap. Hiss! Vice Admiral Garp, what are you doing? Nami yelled angrily. Although she got along with her for a month before, she already knew that this old man was unreliable. But what occasion is now? There are so many pairs of eyes on Bai Han. If Bai Han makes a fool of himself under this slap, what should he do? That's right, there are many reporters around taking pictures with cameras. After all, this is a historic scene. It can be said that it has challenged the deep impression of 7 warlords of the sea in people's minds. It is definitely big news. Before, 7 warlords of the sea was a weapon used to deal with pirates. But the world government wanted to use pirates to deal with pirates, and gave 7 big pirates the right to plunder legally. For the world, this is nothing more than 7 more lawless existences. And now, the bounty hunter has become 7 warlords of the sea. Whether it will be another signal, that is, the world government's brain is finally normal. I want to use the power of justice to deal with pirates. This is what countless civilians want to know now. At the same time, countless bounty hunters and righteous people hidden among the people who are unwilling to join the official organization have also set their sights on this vaccination ceremony. Once Bai Han's affairs go smoothly, then Bai Han will directly become a benchmark existence. Of course, the reporters on the scene are still amazed at Bai Han's terrifying method called ninjutsu. Unexpectedly, the moment Vice Admiral Garp slapped that slap, he appeared a few meters away. If this terrifying method is used in battle, it will definitely catch many enemies off guard. And Garp didn't expect that his unintentional actions would expose some of the mysteries of Bai Han's ninjutsu. Looking at the reporters who were constantly flashing lights around him, Garp broke out in a cold sweat. He seemed to have seen the eyes of his old comrades who wanted to tear him apart from the marine conference room behind him. Sorry, I didn't control my strength. It's my mistake. Garp didn't dare to be skinny, and after apologizing to Nami, he hurriedly put his arms around Bai Han's shoulders and walked towards the marine conference room. However, the reporters behind were still talking about it. My God, that is the power called ninjutsu mastered by Master Bai Han. Legend has it that this power can give people the power comparable to devil fruit. Yeah, it feels amazing. I don't know if Master Bai Han will hand over ninjutsu to Marine this time. Hiss, I heard that Master Bai Han's ninjutsu can make people walk on the sea. Doesn't that mean that Marine's strength will increase? Ha ha ha, what nonsense are you talking about? How can someone stand on the water? I feel that Master Bai Han's ability should be some kind of devil fruit ability. The spies of some forces among the reporters, listening to the conversation around them, only felt cold sweat. If this matter is true, then it is definitely not a good thing for them. However, it is basically impossible to destroy this authorization ceremony. For this authorization ceremony, Marine Admiral Akainu personally inspected New World to prevent New World forces from making trouble. Marine Admiral Aokiji is in charge of sitting in the Sabayati archipelago to prevent the emergence of fish that slip through the net. Plus Marine Admiral Kizaru, Marine Hero Garp, and Marine Marshal Sengoku who sit in Naval Headquarters himself. Even Whitebeard can't say he can survive Marineford with this lineup. How could anyone dare to make trouble at such a time? Even for those other 7 warlords of the sea, except for Hawkeye who doesn't care much about the position of the 7 warlords of the sea, everyone else dares to wait and see silently at this moment. They were also not sure what Marine's action meant this time. And at this moment, in the highest meeting room of Marineford, seeing Bai Han's arrival, Sengoku immediately stood up with a smile on his face. I've heard of you for a long time. East Blue Shira Bai Han. Sengoku smiled sincerely at this man who carried the same burden of justice as himself. What's more, the person in front of him is still a big client, so he can't offend him no matter what. A long time, Marshal Sengoku. He looked at Sengoku who looked like a small titan and was nearly 3 meters tall. Bai Han couldn't help wondering if Marine had any special skills in growing taller. Otherwise, Wire Admiral, Sengoku, Garp and others all close to 3 meters in height. How can there be such a coincidence? Ha ha ha, come, let's take a seat. Sengoku patted Bai Han's shoulder, smiled and led Bai Han to his seat. In order to meet the needs of Bai Han, the seats of Bai Han and Nami have been specially adjusted, so that it will not look as awkward as a child sitting on an adult chair. After a brief conversation, Sengoku got straight to the point. Bai Han, this is the right that 7 warlords of the sea can enjoy, and the responsibility that needs to be borne. In terms of responsibility, except for responding to the call when the Marine is called, there is no change for you, and even the bounty you get will be doubled. Sengoku took out a contract and handed it to Bai Han, explaining at the same time. Bai Han took the contract and examined it carefully. After a while, he was sure that Marine was indeed sincere. In this contract, there are only 2 obligations mentioned by Sengoku. However, the benefits he enjoys are much more than the normal 7 warlords of the sea. For example, in the process of hunting pirates, he can mobilize nearby marine troops to act together. Even if there is insufficient troops, you can apply for support from naval headquarters. As long as the situation is reasonable, Marine will cooperate unconditionally. In addition, it is natural not to mention things like borrowing the marine route. These are only secondary benefits. Compared with the huge power held by 7 warlords of the sea, it is not worth mentioning at all. 7 warlords of the sea is equivalent to the warlords recognized by the world government. It is completely possible to form your own forces and territories. As long as the funds are sufficient, Bai Han can even form a bounty hunter association by himself. Once the bounty hunters from all over the world are assembled, then, this is definitely a huge force second only to Marine. Of course, what I'm talking about here is only comparable to Marine in terms of numbers. Moreover, it is not an easy task to form a bounty hunter association, and the wealth that needs to be invested in it is completely astronomical. Suppressing the thoughts that popped up in his mind, Bai Han put down the contract in his hand and signed his name on it. Happy cooperation. Sengoku also showed a smile on his face. Happy cooperation. And the next topic began to involve ninjutsu transactions. In this regard, Bai Han hopes that ninjutsu can be spread widely through Marine's hands. The entire world of pirates that can best be passed on is everywhere. In this way, after mastering Rinnegan, he will be able to kill. As far as the eye can see, it is his power bank. The more people besiege him, the more advantage he has. However, this point cannot be revealed now, otherwise he will inevitably arouse the hostility of this world. Soon, in a tug of war, both sides got satisfactory results. The Marine side got the chakra practice method, as well as many ninjutsu usage methods and not seal methods. In addition, you can also enjoy 2.5 months of personal teaching by Bai Han. And Bai Han got the training methods of Marine 6 styles including esoteric art, and Zephyr's 1-month body art, hockey teaching, and Gion's 1-month swordsmanship teaching. In addition, Marine also promised to pay to help Bai Han build a desired ship. Its vice admiral will add various cutting-edge technologies of Marine, and it is designed by Vegapunk himself, which is an enjoyment that money cannot buy. And when the 2 parties signed the agreement, the news that Bai Han became the 7 warlords of the sea, as well as Kruptal's plan to steal the country, and Bai Han's actions authorized by Marine, both were initiated by Marine himself. Reported out. This move greatly enhanced Marine's prestige and gave the public confidence. After all, as long as something is wrong, even the 7 warlords of the sea Marine will also deal with it. And these news caused another earthquake in this world. Among them, those 7 warlords of the sea naturally responded the most. Not much reaction except Hawkeye. I just noticed the sword skill column in Bai Han's ability, and a little bit of interest. It can be said that the other 7 warlords of the sea raised their vigilance to the highest level. On 9 Snakes Island, Hancock looked at the news in the newspaper about Marine's decision to make Bai Han, a bounty hunter, 7 warlords of the sea, and his face showed a rare solemn expression. Marine is planning to tear up the agreement. Will the docking be automatic? Or, this time it is indeed as Marine said, but that idiot K. Lockdoll is too ambitious. Hancock tightly squeezed the newspaper in his slender hands. His beautiful face was covered with haze. If it is the former, I am afraid that 9 Snake Island will face great difficulties. But if it's the latter, then this might just be a warning from Marine, so don't take it too seriously. No matter what, you must be prepared. Hey, it's ironic to let pirates and bounty hunters become 7 warlords of the sea at the same time. There was a bit of a sarcastic smile on Hancock's face, and he bared a smile. In the Devil's Triangle, on the huge thriller bark full of various horror elements. Moria, who has become a huge fat mansion, reads the news in the newspaper and feels bad all over. He, that idiot, Locke, actually killed himself. He deserves it. However, if Marine really wants to attack Lousy, what should Lousy do? Forget it, wake up and think about it, Z's. She used to be high-spirited, and even rushed to Moria, who Wano Kuni wanted to compete with Kaido. After suffering the huge blow at the beginning, he had already lost his fighting spirit. At this moment, Moria has become a mediocre fat house. He didn't even bother to think about the things that Marine might have to do by himself. After all, Marine hasn't called anyway, has he? The Fishmen Island hidden under 10,000 meters under the sea. Jinbei, who originally had some thoughts about Baihan, couldn't help clenching his azure blue fist after seeing the news about the newspaper. Dragon, why are you fool going to places like East Blue? Jinbei growled in pain. East Blue is not the so-called weakest sea at all. Just because that guy Garp used to come home and visit. So much so that the pirates there have never been able to become popular, so they are called the weakest sea. There are really too many great people coming out of that place. One Piece Roger, One Piece Deputy Rayleigh, Marine Hero Monkey D. Garp, Revolutionary Army Leader Monkey D. Dragon plus the sniper Usopp on the Red Hair Pirates ship. These are the top powerhouses in the world. Even Usopp, the weakest among them, has a bounty of 870 million. Now that an East Blue Asura suddenly appeared, powerful enough to kill K. Lakadar, Jinbei was not surprised at all. But it's a pity that after becoming 7 warlords of the sea, unless you want to give up this position, you must never fight among your colleagues. In order to protect the safety of the Fishmen Island, it is naturally impossible for Jinbei to give up the position of 7 warlords of the sea. Therefore, he can only keep this hatred in his heart. Evil Dragon, don't worry, this matter will not end so easily. There was a trace of hatred in Jinbei's eyes. Although Jinbei is hailed as Hexia by the outside world, he possesses chivalry and courage. But, loyalty is also within the category of chivalry. Because of loyalty, Jinbei could even refuse Marine's recruitment, preferring to be imprisoned and pushed into that kind of place. The evil dragon was killed as Jinbei's best partner in the past, and it would be a strange thing if Jinbei did nothing. New World, the Island of Love and Passion de Reese Rosa. In the highest palace, Doflamingo looked at the news reported by Marine in the newspaper, with an incomparably ferocious smile on his face. Locke, you are such a waste. You were actually killed by a little devil, and you really lived and returned. Although Doflamingo was smiling, his clenched fists and gloomy face were enough to tell that he was not in a good mood. The rise of Baihan is too sudden. A bounty hunter who had just made a name for himself in East Blue had no qualifications in his eyes at all. However, it was such an existence that actually killed Klokdar in the Shichibukai at the first stop of the Grand Line. How could this not shock him? From dealing with those pirates with a bounty of less than 20 million, he suddenly jumped to killing a big pirate with a bounty of at least 800 million berry. The span of this is too big. Of course, no matter how powerful Baihan is, he still can't really threaten him. After all, de Reese Rosa where he is located is a kingdom located in the New World. Baihan wanted to come to the New World, those Mo pirates, even the 4 emperors couldn't wait long ago. What really worried him was actually the attitude of Marine, or the world government. The benefits brought by the identity of 7 warlords of the sea are really too great. He can easily spread his black business all over the world. Once he loses his status as 7 warlords of the sea, his business all over the world will inevitably suffer a huge blow, and at least he will lose more than 70% of his income sources. Since you have played your cards, it's my turn. The corners of Doflamingo's mouth were raised high, revealing a terrifying smile. Afterwards, he picked up the phone bug beside him and dialed. Hey, Kaido, I'm Joker, I have a piece of news that you must be very interested in, it's about that magical ninjutsu. Because of the change of Bai Han's position, the world has also become turbulent at this moment. Of course, none of this has much to do with Bai Han for the time being. After reaching an agreement, Bai Han directly took Nami and Robin, who used the transformation technique to become the face of passers-by, to stay in Marineford. Moreover, they were directly admitted to the Marine College in Marineford. Robin never imagined that there would be a day when he would live in Marineford openly. This also made her feel the magic of this thing called ninjutsu. Even naval headquarters, who are as skilled as a cloud, can't find her abnormality. In the next period of time, Bai Han worked as both a student and a teacher, and started his busy and fulfilling life. Here, he practiced hockey and taijutsu with Zephyr, the strongest mentor in Marine. Being able to teach Zephyr, who is currently a high-level Marine, the teaching level is naturally beyond doubt. Directly fills in Bai Han's gaps in these aspects and quickly fills up a lot of theoretical foundations. At the same time, he also opened a special course called ninjutsu at the Marine School. Of course, the first batch of students taught by Bai Han are not recruits or rookies. After all, Bai Han will only coach here for 2.5 months. Therefore, for the first batch of students to learn ninjutsu, Marine did not choose randomly. This group of students are basically naval headquarters generals whose potential has been exhausted, at least at the rear admiral level. These naval headquarters generals, whether it is physical skills, hockey or swordsmanship, have reached the limit of what they can achieve. Even if you continue to practice in the future, there will be no substantial improvement. It's better to choose to practice this brand new power system. Maybe you can have a certain talent in this area, so that your strength can continue to complete breakthroughs. Even if there is no substantive improvement, even if it is just an extra means of fighting against the enemy, it is still blood money. It will be of great help in future battles. In addition, Marine's future ninjutsu instructor will also be produced among these people. However, it is not easy to become a student of this group. First of all, it must be someone Marine can absolutely trust. This is enough to brush off a lot of Marine generals. The second is that the learning ability should not be too weak, which in turn will screen out many Marine generals. Then there is the need to have good military exploits. This directly reduced the number of people eligible to participate in ninjutsu classes, leaving less than 30 people. Among them, Rear Admiral occupies 13 people, Vice Admiral 7 people, Admiral 2 people, Marshal 1 person. That's right, except for Aokiji, who is on duty in New World. Even Kizaru and Akainu both came for ninjutsu lessons. They don't think ninjutsu can make them achieve much improvement. They were mainly interested in Bai Han's ability to control water. In this vast ocean world, no one can guarantee that he will not be hit into the water by the enemy one day. If you can master the ability to step on the water surface as the ground. For them demon fruit power, this will be a great help. As for Sengoku, it's basically just to join in the fun and see the world. As the Marine Marshal, he basically doesn't need him to fight with others. If it really comes to the situation where Marshal Marine needs to go into battle in person, it means that the entire Marineford is in a huge crisis, which is basically impossible. So, the old naughty boy Sengoku just came to join in the fun. In addition, the people who rise up to join in the fun are Garp. This pair of partners caused a lot of trouble to Bai Han when he was in class. Fortunately, in the end Zephyr and he Vice Admiral went out in person and threw these two old fools out, which finally made the classroom atmosphere a lot more serious. Okay, I've finished teaching the ninjutsu course, and it's up to you to make your own efforts. Bai Han closed the lesson plan and said with a long breath. 2.5 months of teaching made him realize the pain of being a teacher. Fortunately, these students of his were not stupid, and he didn't lose too much heart in them. Thank you Mr. Bai Han for your teaching. Except for Sengoku and Garp who have been chased away. The 21 people in the class, including Kizaru and Akainu, stood up and saluted Bai Han. Although the teaching this time is a deal. But they can also feel that Bai Han is really teaching them seriously. After 2.5 months of study, they all felt the power of this training system called ninjutsu, as well as the great prospects for the future. Among them, Akainu and Kizaru gained the most. The amount of chakra in the body of the two is no less than that of quasi-cage level. And this total amount is still in the period of rapid increase, and it is not impossible to be comparable to the tailed beast in the future. Although the amount of chakra does not mean that the strength must be strong. For example, Naruto, which is equivalent to 100 cards at the beginning, still can't beat the cards. Cassie makes sense. However, people with a lot of chakra are definitely like magic fortresses, and ninja basically be used randomly. Of course, maybe the power of these ninjutsu is not as good as Akainu and Kizaru's straight a draw. Practice more later, maybe you will walk out a brand new path. Bi-Han nodded to everyone, then turned around and walked out of the classroom. After staying in Marineford for 3 full months, he was already getting impatient. For 3 full months, his template fusion progress has not improved even a bit. And during the 3 months of exploration, he also figured out the mechanism for improving the progress of template fusion. The simulation fusion progress can only be obtained when fighting life and death battles with those strong people, and it is impossible for him to do this when he competes with people like Marine. The reason why he faced Garp in the first place caused a surge in fusion. It's all because Garp's fist was an unconscious counterattack. If the strength is not enough, people will really die. Therefore, it will lead to an increase in fusion. Of course, he didn't waste these 3 months. The first is that armament hockey and observation hockey have completed the breakthrough. Now, his armed thunder chi has been able to cover the upper body. According to his division of armament hockey, this level of armament hockey has reached the intermediate level in the standards he set. And the follow-up that can cover the whole body of armament hockey is advanced armament hockey. The top-level armament hockey is the one that can be released, and the amount is large enough to block Whitebeard's attack like the 3 admirals. In addition, in terms of observation hockey, he has also stepped into the intermediate level. The perception range has reached a distance of 5,000 meters. Moreover, it is already possible to penetrate the wall and perceive the situation behind. In his classification of observation hockey, if the perception exceeds 10,000 meters and can perceive the maliciousness of others, it is a high-level observation hockey. The one who can predict the future is the top observation hockey. In addition, the cultivation of Marine 6 styles Zonghan has basically been completed. He already has a physical foundation, so it is not difficult for him to practice Marine 6 styles. He has even learned a lot about Marine 6 styles Upanishness Return of Life. Although it is not yet possible to develop its own unique awakening skills. But recovering quickly is something that has been learned. He also has the ability to use the food in Pirate World as a blood bottle. The 2-color hockey after breaking through to the intermediate level, coupled with his current level of physical skills, is enough for him to wrestle with the ordinary Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral. Of course, these improvements are only minor. Bi-Han's real strength actually lies in the Mangekyo Sharingan. During these 3 months of training, no matter how sparingly Bi-Han used it, Mangekyo Sharingan's pupil power still dropped by a full 20%. Bi-Han could already feel that his eyesight had declined quite a bit. Of course, the pupil power has dropped so much, so it has its value. Compared with 3 months ago, Bi-Han's understanding of the pupil technique of the eyes and the power of Susanoo has a deeper understanding. The timing of using the binocular pupil technique has been perfectly integrated into every battle opportunity. In addition, Susanoo's power has also reached the 3rd stage, which is the small Gundam form. Susanoo, inherited from Madara, has a blue appearance. The 1st stage is just an ordinary skeleton. Summoning ribs can have a good defense and can be used to resist attacks. Bi-Han tried it out, and it was no problem at all to resist ordinary Vice Admiral attacks. Even elite Vice Admiral opponents were not so easy to break through this layer of defense. If the skeleton arm is summoned, with an arm that is more than 10 meters long, even a random punch is enough to break mountains and rubble. Moreover, because it is only a product of chakra, the joints of the arms do not need to consider the joint factors at all. It can attack any place without any dead ends. If it is a full attack, the power is no less than that of the top ordinary Vice Admiral's attack. If Susanoo is fully released in the 1st form, a behemoth with 4 arms will be summoned. Directly let the enemy enjoy 4 times the happiness. In a short period of time, it is not a problem to block the siege of 4 elite Vice Admirals at the same time. The 2nd stage Susanoo will put on a chakra coat on the basis of the 1st stage Susanoo. Before chakra or pupil power is exhausted, the defense power is completely enough to block the attack of the elite Vice Admiral level. And, on Susanoo's forearms, there will be 4 chakra swords. Under full attack, even Naval Headquarters' most powerful elite Vice Admiral's attack is no more than that. Of course, Garp's oversized Vice Admiral is not included here. At this level, it's not like holding back 4 elite Vice Admirals in a short period of time. Instead, you can directly fight against the 4 elite Vice Admirals. No, not just the 4 elite Vice Admirals. Before the chakra and pupil spells are exhausted, no amount of elite Vice Admirals will work. This is where Susanoo comes in. And this is the strongest regular power that Bi-Han has. As for the final whole card, it is naturally the 3-stage Susanoo known as the Little Gundam. Compared with Susanoo, who only has the upper body in the 2nd stage, Susanoo in the 3rd stage directly has the lower body. At the same time, Bi-Han will appear on Susanoo's forehead crystal is released. This also means that the 3-stage Susanoo will have good mobility. Moreover, Susanoo in the 3rd stage will be equipped with Yatengu armor. This level of armor is difficult to shake even those who are strong at the Admiral level. This point, Bi-Han asked Gion, a strong candidate in Admiral, to try it himself. As a swordsman, Gion is definitely a top existence in the same level in terms of attack power. However, even if Gion wants to break through the 3-stage Susanoo, it is very difficult. The current Bi-Han, if he shot with all his strength, it would definitely not be an easy task for even an Admiral-level powerhouse to take him down. At this moment, Bi-Han can really be regarded as entering the top queue of this world. It is only one step away from the powerhouse of the 4 Emperors Admiral level. After coming out of ninjutsu class, Bi-Han found Nami and Robin, who were practicing on the training ground, and greeted them to leave. Nami and Robin also wasted no time during these 3 months. Nami eagerly learns the advanced and mature sailing knowledge in marine. Now he can truly be regarded as the world's top navigator. Robin also learned a lot of historical details through marine, and compared to her before, the accumulation is a bit stronger. Of course, the improvement in strength of the two has not been slowed down. Due to the benefits of being a Bi-Han crew member, Nami and Robin are also allowed to practice marine 6 styles. Now, under the recommendation of Bi-Han, they have respectively mastered the moves in the 2 moves and 6 moves, but the emphases are different. Nami has learned Moonwalk and Tempest Kick, and will focus on long-distance kite streaming in the future. Use the Moonwalk to distance yourself from your enemies, and strike them from the air with a variety of ninjutsu and Tempest Kick. And Robin learned Finger Pistol and Iron Body. These 2 tricks are mainly used in conjunction with the power of Robin Devil Fruit. Robin's Devil Fruit ability allows her to grow any part of her body on anything like a flower. This is definitely a very scary Devil Fruit. Coupled with the Finger Pistol skill, it is definitely enough to give the enemy a headache. Even this move can carry out a large-scale single attack on the enemy in a group, killing a group of people in an instant. Just imagine, the enemy is just about to rush over, but a hand suddenly grows out of the back of the heart, stretching straight fingers, directly poking into the back of the heart. What a scene it will be. Even Bi-Han felt his scalp tingle when he thought of this kind of scene. And, judging by the performance of Ronin's fruit ability development in the anime, as long as Robin himself is strong enough, it is not impossible to recreate wood-style true several thousand hands Dingsheng Kahiro. As for learning Iron Body, it's even easier. Iron Body is enough to instantly make the flesh as hard as steel. Although this ability is nicknamed by the majority of netizens as the strongest illusion with Defense +1 and Confidence +999. But it is undeniable that this trick is indeed very powerful. The extended limbs of Robin also have the ability to cast Iron Body. What does that mean? This means that Robin has an instant type, and he doesn't need to go into battle himself. When it's time to fight, Robin will use the group control ability. And then it's up to Nami to strike remotely. I'm afraid that even an enemy whose strength surpasses the 2 women's will be easily defeated by the combination of the 2. The only pity is that both Nami and Robin's constitution are too bad. At present, there is no sign of armament hockey and observation hockey, and at most it is equivalent to the level of Naval Headquarters Rear Admiral. However, both Nami and Robin are talented in ninjutsu. Nami's chakra is already comparable to elite Jonin. And Robin's chakra even came from behind, stepped into the quasi-cage level first, and is still improving rapidly. However, this is actually quite normal. Chakra is something that everyone has fixed, and it is not possible to increase one's chakra capacity through practice. Unless something like Hashirama cells is transplanted, or become a Jinchuriki. Otherwise, it is impossible for the total amount of chakra to change at all. And the older the person, because the body is at its peak, the faster it can tap the total potential of its chakra. Robin is in his prime. Naturally, he has to tap his potential faster than the 16-year-old Nami who is still growing. However, the total amount of chakra belongs to the total amount of chakra, and Nami is even better at the level of ninjutsu. Robin's current ninjutsu is only a transformation technique. As for the other ninjutsu, in order not to let Robin miss the great learning opportunity now, Bai-Han did not pass it on to Luozu. The boats prepared by Marine had already been prepared half a month ago. However, in order to leave some expectations for himself, Bai-Han has never been to see this ship that is very likely to accompany him all his life in the future. Soon, the three arrived at the marine dock in Marineford. Soon, a silver-white steel warship that looked like the number 055 destroyer of Bai-Han's previous life appeared in front of the eyes of the three of them. This huge silver steel ship is nearly 50 meters long and 5 meters high. The appearance is neat and streamlined, which is very beautiful. On the bow of the battleship, a red and black round fan pattern is very clear, which is the unique identity symbol of Bai-Han. Moreover, the steel shell is stronger than ordinary wooden boats. The only disadvantage is that the speed may be much slower than those wooden three-masted sailing ships. Of course, there are also many black technologies that belong to the pirate world. For example, a layer of bubble film can be directly formed on the surface of the battleship, so that the entire ship can be directly transformed into a submarine, diving into the seabed at a depth of 10,000 meters. Another example is to push the entire warship forward for a certain distance by releasing a large amount of energy in an instant. After Bai-Han put forward a fresh idea, this ship, Vegapunk, completely let go of itself and created the highest level of ships in Marine. As for the energy issue, unfortunately, the technology tree of One Piece world is always weird. Although the ship as a whole uses electricity, but it does get its electricity by burning coal. However, electricity is not a big problem. After watching the original plot, Bai-Han already knows where to find his power source. Is there any more suitable power source than Thunderfruit ability users? Moreover, Enel's blackened character is indeed not a good person. Taking Enel as a power source, Bai-Han has no psychological burden at all. Is this our future ship? So handsome. Nami, the youngest in the grade, had eyes glowing and exclaimed. Such a handsome ship is worthy of such handsome them. Throughout the entire history of the world, it seems that there has never been such a magnificent ship, Mr. Captain. Robin also folded his arms, his eyes full of wonder. I really don't know how my own captain's brain is able to design such a beautiful ship. She estimates that the appearance of future ships will be greatly changed because of this ship. At least, she has seen that many ships of the same type are already being produced in the marine dock. Appearance is useless, power is the core that drives the giant steel wheel. Bai-Han shook his head and replied, wooden boats have the benefits of wooden boats. At least, the giant steel ship can't sail on the sea with the help of wind. Moreover, it will be very difficult to repair the giant steel ship. Once it breaks, it has to enter the dock for repairs. Unlike wooden boats, there is a boatman on board, and it can be repaired as long as there are materials at hand. If someone really wants to imitate him and build a giant steel wheel, then the other party must be lazy. But Marine is fine. Vegapunk is in Marine's Technology Research and Development Department. Okay, take a look at our ship and check it out. After saying that, Bai-Han took the lead and walked towards his beloved steel giant ship. Although he personally participated in the design of this ship, he knows every detail of this ship like the back of his hand. But, it's a different experience than seeing it for yourself. The current ship built by Marine is the most advanced warship in the world, and its interior is divided into 4 floors. First of all, the top floor is the main control room of the battleship. Here, you can control the navigation of the ship and the fire system. However, Because there is no radar function, the artillery system can only be aimed by the naked eye. But there is such a thing as observation hockey in the world of pirates, which can completely replace the effect of radar. Then, the next whole floor, that is, the floor below the deck, is the training room on the ship, with an area of about 700 or 800 square meters. Some basic exercises can be done in it. There is even an area of about 200 square meters, which is a solid room completely made of seastone. With the seastone's sturdiness, it is even possible to practice ninjutsu releases in it. On the next floor, there are 7 bedrooms of 30 square meters, a large living room of 50 square meters, a restaurant kitchen of 100 square meters, and a leisure and entertainment area of more than 500 square meters. The area consists of the living area. What Bai Han is most satisfied with is this leisure and entertainment area. Huge indoor swimming pool, aquarium, chess and card room. Almost all kinds of entertainment facilities are available in it. The super large space of 500 square meters is enough to accommodate those entertainment facilities. The last floor of the cabin is composed of a huge warehouse of more than 300 square meters and a power room occupying another 300 square meters. Although it is a steel battleship, the various interior design and decoration are incomparably luxurious. In order to build this ship, Marine also spent a lot of money, at least nearly 3 billion Baileys were invested in this ship. Moreover, this is only the cost, and other costs such as labor have not been considered. In order to give Bai Han, the 7 warlords of the sea, the face he deserved, Marine obviously did a lot of bleeding. Of course, this may also have something to do with the world government reimbursement for 7 warlords of the sea's expenses. After watching Nami and Robin in all places, their mouths have not closed yet, and they are still full of shock. They still can't believe it until now. This is the boat they will take to live in the future. Well, are you satisfied with the ship? Sengoku did not know when he came to the dock, and looked at the 3 of Bai Han with a smile. Very satisfied, the boat is simply amazing. Absolutely the highest spec boat I've ever seen. Nami replied excitedly. Even in the materials of Marine, she has never seen any ship comparable to it. Among the warships, none can be more luxurious than this ship. Among the cruise ships, there is no one that can beat this ship more. To put it bluntly, the automatic fire system on this battleship alone is enough for her to have a pair of 4 pirate ships. If the opponent's ship is a little worse and the shooter's level is a little higher, even a pair of 10 will not be a problem. Ha ha ha, as long as you like it, the specification of this ship is higher than that of Admiral of Headquarters. Sengoku stroked his beard and laughed. Admiral of Headquarters warship, specs and budget are only 1 billion Baileys. The price of this warship is even comparable to that of the Naval Headquarters 3 Admiral warships. Even the warship that he, Marshal Marine, traveled on was only worth 2 billion Baileys. And the cost of materials for this battleship alone has reached more than 3 billion Baileys, and it was built using a lot of rare metals. If it weren't for Vegapunk's purposefully designed unique powertrain, this giant steel ship weighing 10,000 tons couldn't even move at all. However, the displacement of this battleship is so heavy, the energy consumed is also extremely terrifying. In the case of using coal to generate electricity, about 5 million Baileys of coal are needed for every 100 nautical miles. With such a huge expense, even he, the Marine Marshal, felt his scalp tingle. Putting away the thoughts that were flying in his heart, Sengoku then turned his head to look at Bai Han and said with a smile, "However, because of the ideas you provided us, our warships have also been updated to a certain extent. As a reward for your warships, if it is damaged, you can bring the battleship to Marineford and we will repair it for free." This is also a means of winning people's hearts. As long as the contact between the 2 parties increases, Bai Han will naturally get closer to Marine in the future. In this way, even if they want to do some outrageous things in the future, they can have a powerful support. Well, thank you very much. Bai Han nodded at Sengoku in relief. This will definitely save him a ton of money in the future. However, should he look for that Munch fruit-capable user? The alloy material produced by the opponent through Munch fruit is much stronger than ordinary steel. Moreover, some alloy materials with lighter weight but higher strength may be produced. If the overall material of this battleship can be changed, it will greatly improve this battleship. As for the question of whether the other party cooperates or not, Under these godlike eyes, the weak have no right to say no. Okay, I've already had the supplies prepared for you, and you can go straight away. However, my suggestion is not to rush to New World, stay in the first half of the Grand Line for a while, and cool down your body heat, otherwise you will be very dangerous. Sengoku gave some pointers. Now Bai Han's popularity is too great. Not to mention the New World, even the first half of the Grand Line, I don't know how many pirates are staring at Bai Han. Want to take the head of Bai Han as his own glory. Although there are basically no powerful pirates in the first half of the Grand Line. However, it can also be seen how Bai Han's situation is now. Once Bai Han really appeared in New World, could it be that the four emperors might even attack all of them, and those big pirates with a bounty of more than 1 billion would also attack Bai Han? Well, thanks for reminding me, I didn't expect to enter New World so soon. Bai Han nodded with a serious expression. He thought so too. With his current strength, he is not yet the opponent of those four emperors. Even those pirates with a bounty of more than 1 billion and the strength of a substitute admiral, it is difficult for him to take down the opponent. So, going to the first half of the Grand Line now is actually a very risky move. Besides, there are still many potential strong players in the first half of the Grand Line. He can use these people to practice his hands, there is no need to go directly to New World. In addition, he also plans to go to the Devil's Triangle to find Moria, who is also the 7 warlords of the sea. Not to kill Moria. After becoming 7 warlords of the sea, attacking another 7 warlords of the sea for no reason will be wanted by the world government. Bai Han doesn't want to have to fight Marine in the future. Regardless of who Marine is actually working for. But Marine has indeed maintained the peace of this sea, and bears the word of justice. He went to look for Moria, and of course he focused on the big sharp knife on Moria's boat, the black knife Chushui among the 21 workers. Although Haidao Chushui is far inferior to Haidoe in Hawkeye's hands, it is still a rare treasured sword. The 3rd generation Onoduru and Yukasu he is using now are only Ryo Kuei-Dao 50 crafts after all, which can no longer meet his current fighting needs at this level. When both armament haki are the same, if the enemy uses the supreme sword. 3rd generation Onoduru and Yukasu may even be cut off by the enemy with a single knife. Although Haidao Chushui is not as powerful as the supreme Kuai-Dao, it is enough. Sengoku also heaved a sigh of relief seeing Bai Han listen to his persuasion. The reason why he took the time to come here this time is precisely to talk about this matter with Bai Han. The 7 warlords of the sea they Marine just pushed up would have died like this. That not only made their Marine efforts in vain. Moreover, they would slap Marine hard in the face, making it look like they pushed a piece of shit up. No matter how confident he is in Bai Han's strength, Sengoku doesn't think the current Bai Han has the ability to compete with the 4 Emperor's pirates. After all, others are a group of pirates, and there are countless strong ones among them. But Bai Han only has himself. As for the 2 girls. Anyway, Sengoku doesn't think these 2 can play a big role in the battle. Even the strength of an ordinary naval headquarters vice admiral would not be of much use in a 4 emperors battle. Really want to make a difference in a fight of this size. That must be at least the strength of the alternate admiral level. Bai's current strength is still far behind. In that case, I'm here to wish you all the best. Sengoku patted Bai Han's shoulder and smiled. He has become more and more satisfied with Bai Han. The existence of ninjutsu is enough to greatly improve Marine's mid and low-level combat power. In the future on the sea, Marine battles will inevitably become invincible because of the existence of this ninjutsu. After all, Marine's biggest advantage over pirates is the large number of people. However, the limitation of the sea has prevented Marine from playing to his advantage. After saying goodbye to Sengoku, Bai Han took Nami and Robin aboard the luxury warship and slowly left the port of Marineford. The huge round fan logo on the bow clearly marked Bai Han's identity. At the same time, this news was also passed on by the eyeliners placed in Marine by various forces. All of a sudden, the entire Grand Line became turbulent. Countless pirates who wanted to step on Bai Han's position, as well as the so-called Dark Emperors, took action one after another. And Bai Han naturally knew all this in his heart. However, in the first half of the Great CECB route, there are not many pirates who can pose a threat to him. In addition, just taking advantage of this time, he was going to see those so-called supernovas in the future. Especially Kid this pussy. Who would have thought that this thing could cooperate with Luo to defeat Big Mom? Although it is said that the awakening of Devil Fruit's ability will lead to a large increase in strength. However, after the Fruit Awakening, he can defeat the Fruit Awakening for an unknown number of years, master the top hockey, and own the Big Mom known as the Steel Balloon Body. That simply cannot be described as outrageous. Therefore, it can only prove that it is Kid's own problem, and the other party has a certain peculiarity. Bai Han wanted to see if the Magneto of the One Piece world would bring him some surprises under his persecution. Also, thanks to the kindness of Marine, I am qualified to play 7 Warlords of the Sea. Then, it is natural to solve those threatening pirates for Marine, at least to be worthy of this identity. Of course, the most important reason is actually because the ship eats a lot of resources. Therefore, the reason why Bai Han will stay is because he plans to go to Sky Island. Only by capturing Enel, a person with Thunder Fruit ability, and turning it into the power source of this ship, can this ship be truly perfected. As for whether this is feasible, he has also asked Vegapunk through the communication phone bug. He got a positive answer from Vegapunk, but the premise is to find the Thunder Fruit capable person. Our next first stop is to go to Gaia Island to find the legendary Sky Island. Bai Han said to Nami and Robin beside him. Sky Island. The land of gold in the legend. Nami immediately became excited, and his eyes turned into symbols of money. Could it be that the story of the big talker Roland is true? There really is a golden country full of gold in this world. If there is such a partner in the world, Nami must not miss her. This news is indeed true, and the total value of the gold on it should not be less than hundreds of billions of berry. After Bai Han thought about it, he gave a conservative valuation. The huge golden pillar alone is worth at least 100 billion berry. Not to mention the city made entirely of gold. Even if the purity of the gold in it is not good, it needs to be purified to lose 50% or even 70% of its quality. That is also a very huge astronomical figure. After all, it's a city. Hiss. Hundreds of billions of Baileys. Nami felt like her whole brain was buzzing. Shocked by this huge number, she felt that her brain was going to be destroyed. Even Robin, who didn't have much interest in money, stared wide-eyed, shocked by the huge amount of money. You know, according to what she learned in Marine before, just 100 billion berry is enough to meet the military expenditure of a behemoth like Marine with a total number of more than 1 million people, a sphere of influence all over the world, and the first half of the Grand Line for 2 or 3 years. And what is the concept of hundreds of billions of berry? This conservative estimate. It is enough to support a behemoth like Marine for at least 5 years. This is a huge number. If it is used by them, they may not be able to spend so much money in their entire lives. Well, if you want to form some forces in the future, these gold will be of great help. Bai Han replied, and at the same time secretly considering whether to form a bounty hunter union. In fact, during this period of time, someone inside Marine had discussed this matter with him. However, to Bai Han's surprise, it was not Sengoku who proposed this matter, but the future Marine Admiral Jian. Akainu even said that if there is any obstacle in the establishment of the Bounty Hunter Union in the future, he will personally come down to help deal with it. Bai Han asked Akainu why he did this. The only request Akainu made to him at the time was that the Bounty Hunters Association must add a setting. That is, dead pirates will be worth more than living pirates. It can only be said that this is really Akainu. However, thinking of Akainu's previous experience, Bai Han can also understand Akainu. If any of his family members were brutally killed by pirates when he was a child, his murderous intent would only be greater and more extreme than Akainu. Even though it's pretty big now, Akainu is already very kind to be able to keep alive after the pirates surrender. At least, he won't give those pirates any chance to surrender alive. Now that those pirates have made their own life choices, they should accept the ending that life should have. After all, when these pirates attacked those civilians, they never gave them a chance to beg for mercy. After chatting for a few more words, the three of them started their own cultivation. Bai Han is still concentrating on practicing taijutsu and haki. And Robin learns ninjutsu from Nami to supplement his ninjutsu knowledge. Bai Han has great expectations for Robin. He wants to know whether Robin's future can really be the pirate version of True Several Thousand Hands. In terms of Robin's potential, there is actually great hope to achieve this step. After all, in the original play, the other party even created a huge Titan incarnation through flower fruit. If it is possible to attach an armed color to the avatar of Titan, then the power may not be worse than the ordinary Susanoo. Moreover, in the later Wano Kuni plot, Robin also used a demon form similar to the awakened fruit ability. In the future, Robin will definitely be a stronger fighter than Nami. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.